So our initial Week 20 NFL Picks video, we're going to talk about the 4 games in the divisional round of the playoffs for the 2025 season. Before we get into everything, please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video. Visit the link in the description for the merch store. As always, I'm wearing something for the merch store. It is our March is Greed Month t-shirt. So that is our sin of the day here. March is Greed Month. You can get that as well as everything else in the merch store. 15% off sale right now. You can change the colors of every shirt. You can get infant onesie, women's tank top, hoodie, long sleeve t-shirt if you're crazy enough to like them. So you can get our mugs as well, our famous apron. We have a baseball cap. We're going to be adding more stuff here in the coming weeks. You can go to Amazon, buy my books. The most recent one is Jerks of the College Years, where I just made fun of people like these individuals on the screen. You can also get my first book, which is A Safety and a Field Goal, which is my first book. It's the top 5 topic book about the NFL, mostly serious stuff, but some fun stuff too. And then please consider super chats and super stickers. That's the best way to support the show. Q1 is here, unfortunately, and ad rates are way down. I've been saying it for months now. Q1 is coming. Q1 is coming. Sounding like Ned Stark, but it's here. So if you guys really want to help out the show, that's the best way to do it. Thank you, Kevin Kovac, for giving us a super chat last week. Really appreciate it. All right, we're joined by Andy Iskoe from thelogicalapproach.com. Andy, how are you, and how's your week 19?
I'm fine. Week 19 was pretty decent. And could you show your book cover again for the Penn State book? Just
right here.
See if move it. So I was going to say I didn't quite get a view. It almost looked like, now that I see the face, but I saw the hair, the white hair. I was going to say that looked like Don King.
It does look like Don King a little bit.
Yeah, well, the facial expression doesn't. But the hair.
Yeah, I had if you didn't read this, I had a math teacher in college who, we never saw him drink, but you could smell the alcohol in his breath, and he ran a very strange class. It was very odd. So I would call him Professor Count Dracula. He always wore these dark glasses, like he was allergic to light. It was a lot of fun to make fun of him. But
he's got the Einstein hairdo.
Yeah. Oh, his hair was wavy and crazy everywhere. He wore the same clothes every day. Like I don't know what this guy was doing. And he also ran the class like it was a game show. Like someone would answer a question and be like 2 points to you, and you would never write it down. So he was like during tests, to write down how many points you get, and like people would just lie because he never kept track. So it was.
I think we all had teachers or professors like that in college.
Yeah. I had a lot of weird ones. So some good ones too, but some very strange ones. My son, by the way, likes one of them because we called him Professor So-So because he, for some reason, would say the word "so" like 8 times in a row. He'd be like, "I am going. This is so hard," and like he just would say so. Like
you're talking about the professor.
The professor, yeah. He like
I know
this is
so
hard. Yeah.
Even in casual language, they always start a sentence off with "so."
Yeah.
So it's kind of like the second part of a sentence. Blah, 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 blah. So, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But
right.
you leave out the first part of the sentence. So it's saying like you're saying half a thought.
Yeah, but most people don't say "so" 8 times in a row. And
no.
My friend Bryce counted one class. He counted how many "so's" he said in the class, and I think he came out to be like 126 "so's" during class.
Oh.
So that was a lot of fun too. One time we were supposed to take a midterm, and he showed up like 10 minutes late to the midterm, and people were about to leave, and like he just showed up, and like people were like, "Oh, come on!" They're like booing him, and then he came up, and he's like, "I'm so sorry. I forgot the midterm." It's like,
no.
Okay. You could have emailed us this. So yeah.
Is that a course on procrastination?
I guess so. It was I don't even know what the class was about. It was in computer science, but we didn't learn computer science in that class. We didn't do any coding. I don't know I can't even remember what the class was. There was some math involved or something. I don't know. It wasn't very difficult. So I don't know. Is Andy using the right mic? Sounds like he's accidentally using his webcam mic. I didn't sense that. Andy sounded like a little off, but like not. I don't think it's too bad.
Yeah, I don't hear anything coming through my headset that sounds any different.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I don't. It sounds like a little bit lower than usual, but it didn't really bother
Oh,
me.
I could. Well, let me see. I could put the volume up a little bit. Let me see.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't really. I didn't sense anything like too drastic. I didn't even think it was the concern. So
Yeah, let me see if I can.
okay. Um. Yeah,
Let's see.
that was a crazy there's a crazy class. Also, at one point in that class, I had to I had like a medical thing. I had to leave school for like a few days, and I was like I asked for an extension, and he said okay, and then I get an email like 3 days later. It's like you got 0 point on homework B or homework 4. Like I asked you for an extension. Like why you email, why you giving me zeros? And you said yes. So that was part of it too. So I went into detail about all these wacky weirdos I met at Penn State. So and I was one of them, to be fair. So I had a lot of stories about me. I showed up to a final drunk. It was my final, and I didn't need the class to graduate. It was just to be a full-time student. Plus, my sister was in it, and two of my friends were leaving. I was never going to see him again for a long time. Actually, one of them I haven't seen since. So we went out drinking. It was like 3 o'clock, and my final was at 6:30 p.m. And
The
so
3 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon?
Afternoon. So it was in May. We're sitting outside, like having some drinks, and my sister comes by like 6 o'clock. She's like, "What? We have to go to the final." I'm like, "Oh, I don't want to go." So like they dragged me out, and I somehow got like an 84 on the final. I have no idea how. So it's all part of it. So it's a fun book to write, as I always say. So anyway, so you said you had a good week 19. What were some of your top plays in week 19?
Let's see. Well, I had the Bears over the Packers.
Nice.
That one I
Come
liked a
back.
lot. I had the Texans and the under in the Monday night game, which was almost a bad beat if you had the under
Yeah.
because of the that pick six at the end that
Yeah.
actually put it on 36. And actually, a friend of mine played the Grand Salami, and he should have lost it easily. He had played the under. It
Hmm.
was 270 and a half. And of course, you had the 65 points in the Rams game, and then you had the 58 points in the Bears Packers game, and I think the Bills Jaguars was that 31-27 or 27-24, something like that.
27-24 is
Yeah, it
51.
was 51. So he should have lost it, and then of course then you had the 23-19 game, which was the first one to go under, and then of course the what was it, the 16-3 game
Yeah.
with
Patriots Chargers.
New England and the Chargers.
Hmm.
And so he needed like 35 points or less to be scored in the Monday night game.
Okay.
And he lost by half a point because that pick six put the total at 272. The total was 271 and a half. So he lost a game that he never should have been in contention for winning in the first place, based upon those high-scoring games on Saturday. And what made it the bad beat, of course, is that when the guy intercepts it the second time in the final couple of minutes, he easily could have gone out of bounds instead of trying to score. And in fact, it looked like one of the Houston players didn't even try to knock him out. One of the Pittsburgh players didn't even try to knock him out of bounds. And so he ended up tiptoeing down the sideline and scoring, which put the Salami over by half a point, but did keep the game total under. Let's see.
There were two defensive touchdowns in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, this was the second one that made it from 24 to 30. And of course, I told him, hey, you also got a little lucky. The guy missed just the kicker missed the point after. But
Right.
the bad, I had the bad beat with the drop touchdown pass by Nakua at the end of the first half, which would have been a cover for the Rams.
Well, yeah, Stafford got injured in that game with banging his fingers on the helmet.
No, but I'm talking about the one at the end of the first half where he had Nakua. And the ball went like right through his hands, and the announcer said, "Oh, he never drops. He matches 99 out of 100. It was number 100. We just saw."
Of course, it's when I bet him, it's like he drops it, right? That's how it always. How it always is here.
And did I have anything? Oh yeah, I had the teaser in the with the only part of the teaser I lost was the Eagles losing outright.
Okay.
Thanks to AJ Brown. I thought it looked like he was trying to catch the ball and read the book at the same time.
he dropped 3 passes in that game. He was terrible.
He did 2 of them on 2 different successive plays.
Yeah, 2 in a row, and then he had a third late.
Yeah.
He did not show up at all. Jalen Hurts had a terrible game.
I think I was texting a little bit with Evan, and I said that the Philly offensive coordinator should be fired. ... Mid game.
Mid game, just halftime. Just go home.
They just waited 2 days to do it.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took 2 days. I would have fired him.
And he wasn't even fired. He apparently is reassigned.
Oh God, yeah.
Apparently they like him, so they want to keep him in the organization. They just got to find his level of incompetence and make sure that he gets a job just a little bit below that.
He could be a hot dog vendor, maybe.
Maybe he could be the massage guy for Big Dom.
Maybe give out cotton candy or something, or handle the tickets. You could do those perhaps. That was a dreadful game of the Eagles. Lane Johnson being out, I thought really impacted that game. I thought all week he would play, and then it was announced that he'd be out, and then Trent Williams came back. So
I just thought there was just some horrible play calling on the part of the Eagles. I mean, okay, we're going to have Barkley, start running towards the sideline one way or the other to draw the defense over, and they pitch him the ball or give him the ball anyway. So the defense is seeing exactly what the play is developing, and he's still 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage.
Yeah. It
do that once in a while, that's okay, but that seemed to be over and over. And then, not passing on sometimes on 3rd and 7 and all that. There were a lot of boneheaded plays, I think, by almost every coach who coached that weekend.
Yeah, that's for sure. So we had 2 games where quarterbacks banged their fingers on helmets, Stafford and Josh Allen. And neither looked right after that.
By the way, that was one of the best plays in all of football history. Josh Allen's 10-yard tush push.
Oh yeah, seriously. But it was followed by one of the worst coaching decisions to not take the knee on first down. Which I
was thinking about that, and then the thought really is, get the score, let your defense hold them, because now they need a touchdown, not a field goal. Because who knows, you might fumble on the next play.
That's true. That's true.
But so I know that if this were a regular season game, maybe you try it, but this is a game where your season is literally on the line. Anything could happen. So
we saw that with Mike Vrabel. He did that in the regular season. I can't remember which team it was against, but he definitely did that. Maybe it's against Titans, I think, or something like that. But yeah, he took a knee right before halftime, and then it scored on the next play, so it ended up working out. I could see the argument for that, but that it didn't matter. Like Evan and I were really hoping that game would go to overtime, because we needed one more receiving yard from Travis Etienne to hit like an 8-1 or something. We had 50 plus receiving yards. He had 49. So we at least had 30 plus and 40 plus. But
that was 31-27, right?
27-24.
I'm sorry. So then they could have needed a field goal to tie.
Right. So surprisingly, just right away, Trevor Lawrence threw an interception. He didn't need to. He had a minute left. It was first down. He didn't need to force anything. I thought that was just a poor decision to really end what was a great season for Jacksonville.
Yeah. Then again, the ball was tipped. The defensive play, the guy who caught it actually just happened to be in the right place. He was the only one that's exactly where the ball was going to land. He just happened to be there.
Yeah. It was still a tough throw to make. And I guess he didn't think it was going to be picked, obviously. But
did they have any timeouts, Jacksonville?
No, they didn't have any.
They were out of them at that point.
Yeah, they didn't have any. No, but it was first down. They had a minute left, and they only needed a field goal. So we were really hoping they would go to overtime, because not only that, we also had Trevor Lawrence over rushing yards. And there was something else too that we played 600 plus passing yards combined for the quarterbacks.
Oh, okay.
At I believe 6.5 to 1 odds. So that would have been a nice one. It almost certainly would have gotten there at overtime, like barring a defensive score or something. So that was something that it was really frustrating that didn't go to overtime. But anyway, the Bills move on, and the Rams too. I thought that the Rams game was just so frustrating. Not with just the Nakua drop, but the banked fingers, and Stafford wasn't completely healthy until the end. So he did lead a touchdown drive to at least win. So at least they won, but that was frustrating. But the boss asking, don't you lose yards on a knee? Would have made it a little bit longer and more risky. Yeah, a little bit more longer. Yeah. But then again, like they would have dictated the game. Like it was first down. So they would have had 3 chances from like the 1.5 yard line. So I would think that, they just gained 10 yards on the sneak the play before, right? So I would think that they'd be able to score.
Well, that wasn't the 10-yard one, the 10-yard tush push. That was the previous touchdown they got, I believe.
Well, the 10-yard tush push took it to the 1 yard line, didn't it? I thought that's what it was.
Yeah, they originally ruled it. Well, I don't know. Was that touchdown or the previous one they scored?
They initially ruled it a touchdown, and then they brought it back to the half yard line.
Was that the game-winning one, or was that the? I thought that was the game where they got to. What was it? Where it got them from 13 to 20 or whatever it was.
Maybe I'm misremembering. I thought
I'm
it was.
Not sure. I'm gonna check it now.
I thought it was the final touchdown drive. Maybe I'm wrong. Last night show I said Frank Gore played a lot, which apparently was not the case. I was like, he played like 20 snaps. No, he was on the field for 4 snaps. I don't know like what drugs I was on to think that Frank Gore played a lot, but
let me see. The last one was it was a 1 yard touchdown.
Yeah,
because the previous one was the Kincaid. Yeah, so I guess it was that last one. I don't know why my memory said it was earlier, but I guess not. That was the 1 yard touchdown. Yeah.
Yeah. John Sanders. Hey, John. He says, knowing our O-line, we would have had a false start if we got cued at the end. Try to believe the clock. Yeah. That's true. That's true. But then again,
it's one thing if you're tied and you kneel down. Because, worst that happens is you go to overtime and people say, well, you should have tried to score it. At least you didn't lose the game then. Mm-hmm. But if you're behind, you don't want to risk a fumble or a penalty for that matter.
Yeah.
You get an illegal procedure. Now, all of a sudden, instead of 1st and goal from the 1, it's 1st and goal from the 6.
Mm-hmm.
Or the 11.
That's fair. Yeah.
I'm not. Although they're likely not to pass, needing just 1 yard, but you never know. A busted read or something could cause what seemed to be a run. But I thought, and we were talking about the Buffalo game. I just thought the play calling in the Eagles game was horrible.
It was it was awful. Not the only Patullo, not the only coordinator fired from this past weekend. The Chargers fired Greg Roman as well.
Yeah, which I don't understand.
Oh, you don't like it?
No, I mean, and I think I wrote it in my newsletter this week that all those offensive line issues that had been plaguing the Chargers all season that they were able to overcome finally caught up with them.
Yeah.
Because the Patriots and Vrabel was smart. Vrabel said, we're going to put as much pressure as we can on Herbert and cause mistakes.
Yeah.
We're going to try some nice deep coverage. And we're going to basically make him try to do something that he's probably not going to be able to do because he's not going to have time to do it.
Yeah, no, they had no chance. You would think that maybe Greg Roman would have some sort of solution, like make an adjustment or something. He never did. I didn't hate. I don't
know that Roman could do much with that offensive line as far as stopping the pressure.
Yeah, it's fair, and I wrote that in my grade where it's like he didn't really get a fair chance there, but at the same time, I was never a fan of his anyway. I felt like the offense was like in 1995 almost sometimes, and I don't think he was maximizing Justin Herbert even before the offensive line injuries. So I thought maybe
the offensive line injuries began in the preseason.
Yeah, but when they only had Slater down, like it was still fine. They could still do enough,
Yeah, but it was only a couple of games before Alt got injured.
Or 3 games.
And then he came back, and then he got injured for the season.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He came back for that Minnesota game on Thursday night, and I believe that he got hurt the next game against Tennessee. I want to say so. He got hurt against the Giants and the Titans, and in 2 games they didn't cover. And I believe
a lot of it has to do is is the defense going to be aggressive? And defenses that were aggressive against them, Jacksonville had a very aggressive defense, if I recall that game, and they blew them out. So Roman could only do with the players they had, And
Yeah.
I mean, look, you were at times down to your third string left tackle, and I think even he got injured at a point for a while.
Yeah.
Missed maybe, I don't know if it was a game or a part of a game. So I just thought Greg Roman has a nice career resume. That was this his first year there or second year?
Second.
Yeah, they were fine last year on offense.
Yeah,
They were healthy. They were healthy last year on offense.
They were, at least until the playoffs, and then they couldn't do anything. But I don't know. I feel like they could do. I feel like they could do better. I didn't like this firing as much as the other one, but I didn't hate it either. So I think I'm fine with it. But I don't know. Maybe it changes what they need outside of better health. Andrew asking, hey Walt, do you think the Bears are going to be next year's Redskins? Are you taking them under next year, assuming what? But anyway, it depends what the schedule is. I know that we.
Yeah, hold on just a moment. Hold on.
Okay, I'll talk. So it depends on what the schedule is. I know we can look it up now, but I didn't. I haven't really. Let's look at it together. I mean, like there's no reason not to. So Bears 2026 schedule. We can see what is happening there. So we have Atlanta, should be better. Buffalo, of course, the divisional games: Detroit, Green Bay, Minnesota. They do get New Orleans, which should be better next year. Tampa, then New England.
Sorry about that, but I'm here.
The Jets, Lions. So of course they get all the NFC North teams, the Vikings, etc. So Jacksonville, Eagles, Seahawks. So they get the NFC South, which is nice. We're talking about the Bears 2026 schedule.
What division are you talking about? The Bears.
The Bears get the NFC South next year, which is a plus.
Well, keep in mind that the Redskins this year were the Redskins this year because Jaden Daniels missed half the season.
Right. That's certainly true. I'm just like trying to see if there's going to be a tough schedule or something for them next year. They play the AFC East as well, which is good and bad because they get the Patriots and Bills, but then they also get the Jets and Dolphins.
Well, we don't know about the Dolphins yet.
Right. Well, new coach, new quarterback.
They're going to have a positive coaching change even if the owner comes down and coach.
Yeah, that's true. We don't know who the quarterback is though yet. We'll see about that.
But they'll probably pick somebody up in free agency, I'm guessing. But maybe Aaron Rodgers.
They did bring in the Packers personnel guy.
Okay.
So maybe that does mean Rodgers, or maybe it means Malik Willis goes there.
I don't know if the Packers would trade Malik Willis because he's a good backup for Love, who's been injury prone.
Well, he's a free agent, so he's free to go wherever he wants. Malik Willis.
Okay, I thought he still had 1 year.
Okay, no, he's free.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been doing the free agency rankings.
They're going to play a first place schedule, which means they'll play Seattle.
Yep.
They'll play the Eagles.
Philadelphia. Yep.
And they'll play.
Well, they get the NFC South anyway, so.
Yeah, which would be. Well, Carolina, I guess, because Carolina, even though they were all 9-8, Carolina did finish first. So.
Yeah, well, they play the entire NFC South, is what I'm saying. So
okay. Okay, yeah. So the only two first place teams they play would be the East and the West, which I mean.
Well, and their special AFC team, which would be Jacksonville.
Yeah. Oh, it's the AFC South.
Yeah. So they'll play the Jaguars as well.
No, I mean that's the only. What AFC division do they play?
They play the AFC East.
Okay. That's what you mentioned. Yeah. The Bills and Patriots are good, and Jets and Dolphins are.
Yeah, but their 17th game is against Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't looked at the schedule. I've not looked at all the schedules for next year, but I guess that was known. I guess because I guess there's a formula for which division you play, even though it comes up only once every. I guess once every 16 years. Yeah.
Assuming you're taking the under because they've had a lot of ones of 4 games like so they'll reverse like 2024 because they had a lot of close games, I think is what it's saying.
For what, the Bears? You mean the Bears?
The Bears played a lot of close games this year, so you would think that probably regression to the mean is going to happen, and they'll play.
Well, actually, you could argue this year was the regression to the mean because of all the close games they lost last year.
It's true. Yeah, they had a better coach this year.
Yeah.
So, Yeah, it depends. Look, it depends what the number is. We'll see it depends what they do in free agency too in the draft. If they
Well,
don't fix their
they have to
defense,
believe the Packers are still going to be a good team.
mm,
Minnesota inherently is a good team. I like the way that they finished the season. They ended up finishing 9-8 ahead of Detroit,
mm-hmm.
and Detroit, you figure, will be back. So it figures to be a very competitive division from top to bottom next year once again.
Yep. Yeah, it's gonna be tough. I mean, who would have thought that Detroit would finish last? You know, from the number one seed to last. Yeah, number one seed to last place. So, which it's kind of crazy. If they had beaten Minnesota, they would have made the playoffs. Of course, the Packers would have played the starters against Minnesota in Week 18, but still, it's funny. It's funny how that happened, but maybe not funny to Detroit fans. If the boss saying the Bears can upgrade the defense,
that franchise seems to be cursed.
Detroit?
Yeah. I mean, they're one of the 4 teams that has never made the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
2 of the teams, Houston has only been around 20 years. Jacksonville's only been around 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
And who are the other one? Cleveland and Detroit.
Yep.
And Cleveland actually has only been around, since the late 90s when they got the new franchise? Because the Baltimore Ravens are the old Cleveland, so the old Cleveland Browns have made the Super Bowl.
Right, exactly. Poor Cleveland. They watched their old team leave and go and win with that great defense. So yeah, Detroit's really the only old team that has never gone to the Super Bowl, which is
the longest existing franchise. They go back to probably like the 1940s or something.
Yeah, and they were so close a few years ago when they were up 17 against the Niners.
That was their best chance.
They had the meltdown, and then last year they had so many injuries and they lost right away in the playoffs. Yeah. Maybe they are cursed, but you know what? People said the Red Sox are cursed, and then they won. So
it's been 86 years. So maybe in the long after we're gone, the Lions will win Super Bowl 103.
Yeah, it'll be the year 2300. My great grandson's running the show.
Yeah,
and like maybe the Lions will win this year. We'll see.
Yeah.
It might take a while.
When the NFL is down to 4 teams.
You think it'll be down to 4 teams?
Yeah, because everybody will go bankrupt the next 250 years. But no, and you look at Detroit and how much did they miss Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson?
It was heading into the year. It's just missing the 2 coordinators. And people underestimated that. I bet the Lions to miss the playoffs, and everyone I told that to was like, really? I'm like, yeah. They lost both coordinators. The same thing happened to the Eagles. I know the Eagles made the playoffs, but man, they
lost like 6 or 7 in a row after they were 10-1.
Yeah, they were.
And I remember pointing that out to people when people say, "Hey, they lost both coordinators." I say, "Yeah, but they still managed to go out to 10-1." I remember you always said, "Yeah, but it was an ugly 10-1," which it was, but it was still 10-1.
It really was. Like they almost lost to Sam Howell twice at the start of the year. Like they had some ugly wins, and then they were in free fall at the end. So I thought it would be like that. I thought it was like 50-50 for the Lions to make the playoffs, and I think I got like plus 135 or 140. So I was like, I'll take plus 140 on a coin flip.
What was the season win total? Was it like 10 and a half?
I think it was 10.5. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
See, I've got it.
Yeah. Lions schedule was not kind, as Sue said. Yeah, that was another reason. The Lions had a tough schedule. They lost both coordinators. They lost their Pro Bowl center, Frank Ragnow, is huge, and they lost
that was very huge.
Yeah,
their
and
season
they lost
total, by the way, was 10.5 plus 120.
Yeah, and that was the only interior lineman they lost. They also lost Kevin Zeitler, who was really good for them. So they lost 2 linemen in the interior, like right next to each other. They had a tough schedule. 2 coordinators gone. And their defensive players who were hurt last year, some came back, but some still didn't return for a while. So this team just, I felt like, what was not going to be very good this year. And then what really threw me off was how they beat Baltimore in Week 3 on Monday Night Football. Because they lost Week 1 to the Packers in a blowout. Then they beat the Bears, but the Bears come off a short week, and so I thought, okay, fine. But then they clobbered Baltimore, and I'm like, oh, I guess I'm wrong here. And people even messaged me. They're like, oh, you were way wrong on the Lions. So I was like, I guess I was. But
that was more of a telltale sign of what was going to happen with the Ravens.
Exactly.
Coming off the game they blew 2 weeks earlier, the Sunday night game at Buffalo.
exactly. And the week after, they got blown out by the Chiefs.
Yeah.
So it's funny because that seemed like such a big win, like such a like a great win for the Lions.
At
Ended
the
up
time
being
it
like,
was, but it
yeah.
ended up being an inexplainable loss, and it was
Mhm.
a bad. I'm sorry, it was an explainable win that made it not that great.
Yeah. It
Because
just goes to show. Yeah.
8 other teams beat the Lions.
Right. It just goes to show that we don't have all the data to start the season, but like once you keep going, it like more of it
Yeah.
makes sense, you know. Although there's still one game that's still inexplicable, which I guess you could say because the coach is making his first coaching stint there this year. Was the Patriots losing to the Raiders in Week 1? Look back at
Oh
that.
yeah.
How
Yeah.
did that happen?
Well, how about losing to Pittsburgh with all those turnovers?
Yeah, at least you could explain, like, okay, they got sloppy, right? If they don't turn the ball
Yeah.
over, they probably win. But like that Raiders game's like, how do you lose to the Raiders? Because the Raiders only won one
Well,
game
remember the
beside that.
Raiders did the same thing the year before at Baltimore in Week 2.
Yeah, yeah,
You know, when they
yeah,
came back, they were down by 10 in the fourth quarter. I think that
yeah,
was
they
with
were.
yeah, that was with Derek Carr, but even so.
Was it their car? I thought it was Minshew, wasn't it? It was
Was
last
it?
year, right? It was Gardner Minshew last
24?
year.
Yeah, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was Minshew. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Uh,
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what year it was that Carr left them.
Carr, yeah, Carr was on the Saints for what, 2 years, I think, 23 and 24.
Yeah, that
Yeah. So
or,
yeah, that was Minshew who made the comeback,
yeah.
and then the following week the Raiders lost to the Panthers as big favorites. And
Yeah,
I know Evan had.
I remember because I remember saying before the start of the season when some of the folks out here were talking about the Raiders and there's win total and everything. I said the Carolina game is the only game in which they'll be favored all year.
I remember eating lunch with you and you saying that.
Yeah.
That's funny. So we had that game, Evan, if you're listening, he lost his survivor on that. And I remember
on Carolina. You mean on
the Raiders?
On the Raiders and the Carolina game, or was that?
Yeah, that was the Carolina game. That was right after Bryce Young got benched after starting 0-2.
No, yeah, we're talking last year. Yeah,
last year. And Andy Dalton came in and went into Las Vegas and won. And I remember Evan saying that he considered the Jets over the Patriots in that Thursday game beforehand, but he didn't want to play a Thursday game. So I know that cost a lot of people.
Who won the Thursday game?
The Jets destroyed the Patriots.
Okay.
And yeah. So that was Aaron Rodgers' one of his rare wins at home. Okay. That was really surprising at the time. At the time it was, but then like once you keep going, it's like, oh, okay, yeah. We know why the Raiders lost because they're terrible. They just had
well, that's why we've not found anything out still really about the Patriots because they won against the Chargers, but it was a depleted Charger team. Still the best defense that they had faced all year, and they only scored 13, 16 points, whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we still don't know because remember we were talking about the Patriots, and they had a real easy schedule from the start of the season, and we basically said unless some of these teams on their schedule are going to be much better when they get to play them than we thought they were going to be, we're still not going to know until the playoffs. Now this week will be a good test for the Patriots because they're finally playing an experienced team that has a couple of 3 straight years they won their first playoff game, and they got a really good defense. So we'll find out a little bit more about the Patriots. If they win 38-3, that'll be impressive. If they win 20-17, okay, kind of what you would have expected from them. Although the total, of course, is a little higher there. But at what point will we, let's see who the Patriots have to play the rest of the way to say they're a good football team if they win the Super Bowl.
It's funny
which is weird to hear and weird to say, right, but you know what I mean.
Right. It'd be funny if they win the Super Bowl. We're like, are they a good team? I don't know. You could see it that way, right?
My answer would be they were good enough at the time they needed to be.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, I think did they were either number 1 and 2. I think they may have been number 2 in point differential. I think Seattle may have been number 1. I think was a little bit ahead of them.
Okay. I'm not sure about that. It sounds about right because they had a lot.
The Rams had I think they had the most points scored.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest differential, let me see if I can pick it up here.
Well, the Patriots had they had a lot of blowout wins this
Yeah.
year, and they had I remember just looking at the schedule. Like,
Seattle was plus 191, New England plus 170, the Rams plus 172,
okay, so
and everybody else. Even Pittsburgh 10-7, they were plus 10 in the regular season.
Okay, yeah,
which is
right.
9-8, 8-9 type team.
Do you think the Ravens would have beaten the Texans had they gotten in?
No.
Really? I don't think so. I think it would have been 50-50 maybe. Like it wouldn't have been as lot. It wouldn't have been 30-6.
No, I'm not saying that. I don't know what the line would have been if there was an advanced line based upon Baltimore winning that week 18 game. If they had an advanced lineup.
Well, Baltimore was minus 3.5, right? Baltimore's minus 3.5 at Pittsburgh, and Houston is minus 3 at Pittsburgh. So you think Baltimore is a half point better than Houston?
Which means you'd probably make it a pick 'em.
Well, if they're at home, they would get what, 1.5, so they'd be minus 2.5, something like that.
Talking about Baltimore. Oh, that's right. Yeah, one was home on the road. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose because of the experience, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson. Yeah, you have to make maybe you make Baltimore a 3-point favor or 2.5.
2.5. I was thinking 2.5.
2.5 and see which way the line moves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get the sense I think the Ravens would have won, but then again, you never know with Lamar's health, so it's really not sure. We had a question from Slew. With 8 teams left, perhaps the both of you could share what you see as the most unlikely Super Bowl matchup. I can go.
I got my conspiracy theory.
Okay, what's that?
Okay, this is the 40th anniversary of the Patriots and the Bears playing in Super Bowl 20.
Right.
Super Bowl is now Super Bowl 60, so it's a nice 3 times 20 is 60. Mm-hmm. So maybe we get to see the Bears and the Patriots.
Okay.
Which is not unfathomable, especially the way the Rams defense has been playing the last month and a half.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, we could certainly see that.
And New England, look, if they, I would, if they beat Houston, and it's a relatively legitimate win, mm-hmm. Okay, doesn't have to be 31-10. It could be 27-14 or 27-17. Okay.
Yeah.
And that they're basically in control. A win over Houston might be their most impressive win of the season, even more impressive than the revenge win against Buffalo. So at that point, and let's say Denver beats Buffalo, okay?
Okay.
So New England would have to go to Denver to play in the AFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd be interested to see what the line is in that game. And, of course, a lot of it would be impacted by if Denver wins, how do they win against Buffalo? And if New England wins, how do they do against Houston? I think New England has the more difficult, even though both New England and Denver are playing at home, I think New England has the more difficult test because they're facing a much better defensive team than Denver is facing. Mm-hmm. And both offenses, Denver's offense and Houston's offense, I would say, let me take a look here at the numbers here. I would think that perhaps Denver and Houston's offense is not, well, I'll go by points scored, which is not necessarily a good measure because it doesn't have special teams and defensive teams, but Denver averaged 23.6, Houston averaged 23.8, basically the same. Total yardage, 327 versus 343. Total defense, 277 versus 278. Mm-hmm. So Houston and Denver are basically total yards, they're 1 and 2 by 1 yard. It's separate, just regular season numbers.
Okay.
And in offense, they're 16 yards, so they're different. So they're basically the same overall. Okay, as far as those numbers go. So I would think that you could say that Houston probably has a more difficult time scoring against New England than Denver would have scoring against Buffalo, simply because of the Although, again, I'm saying this, I'm not looking at the numbers, and I look at the number and I say, wait a minute. If you go by total yards, which is one measure, not a great measure, but one measure, Buffalo ranked number 7 at 293, Denver number 2 at 278, and Houston number 1 at 277. Now, when you look at yards per play defensively, significant difference here because, in fact, this might be an issue that, well, let's see. Denver was actually number 1 at 4.5 allowed. Houston was number 5 at 4.8. New England number 12 at 5.2, and Buffalo number 15 at 5.3. So okay. I would still say, even with these numbers, that Houston would have a more difficult time scoring against New England. And first of all, it's on the road. Then Denver would have scoring against Buffalo, which is at home.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah. Well, I do have that line.
I could see. Well, okay, New England, Denver. Let me think.
Yeah. What do you think?
I would. Well, they opened Buffalo up at 1.5. I think. I would probably open New England 1.
You are very close. 1.5.
Okay. I was going to say slightly. I was going to say slightly, maybe not as high as New England, simply because of the experience factor difference between New England and Buffalo.
Yeah. To answer Slew's question about the most unlikely.
Most unlikely.
Yeah, I think the Niners you would have to say because they're touchdown underdogs from the NFC, and as crazy it is to say, I think it's.
You say Denver.
I almost said Denver, and then I think it's Houston, actually. I think it's Houston, San Francisco is the most unlikely. But then after that, I think it's San Francisco, Denver. I think San Francisco and then any other matchup is the most unlikely.
I don't know. I might still say Chicago is unlikely.
Okay.
Because Chicago would have to first get by the Rams and then have to get by Seattle or San Francisco. And we already saw the fact that they gave San Francisco a good game, but they ultimately – fell short, but this one would again be on the road. Chicago, yeah, okay, yeah, that's right. Seattle would be on the road, but you still also have to think that Warner will be back for that game.
Yeah, Chicago minus 1.5 at home against San Francisco.
Is that what it's showing? Is that what the lines are?
Yeah, minus 1.5, and then plus 5.5 at Seattle.
So then Chicago is being considered by the lines maker the least likely team to make it from the NFC.
No, the Niners, because the Niners are plus 7 in Seattle. And Chicago's plus 5.5.
Say that again now.
So if the Niners win and the Rams win, they're 6.5. So what I was saying was the Niners are plus 7 in Seattle right now, but the Bears are plus 5.5 in Seattle, hypothetically.
Okay.
So they're considered. Chicago's considered 1.5 points better than San Francisco, even though they lost to San Francisco a few weeks ago.
Well, going by the conference odds that I have here from the Westgate, the least likely team is indeed San Francisco, plus 805, Chicago plus 710, and both the Seattle and the Rams are almost odds on, plus 158 for the Rams, as opposed to even money, and plus 115 for Seattle. In the AFC, it's clearly Houston, plus 360. Buffalo and Denver are both plus 260, and New England is plus 210, which is interesting because they would have to play Denver at Denver.
Right. San Francisco is 20-1 to win the Super Bowl, whereas the Bears are 12-1. Texans are third to last.
I'm showing it, and I'm using, I think, Circa. Am I using Circa? Yeah. Circa. Following the one of support. Okay, yeah. Oh, it's from the Circa, yeah. Circa had, this is as of yesterday, Chicago 17-1, San Francisco 19-1 to win the Super Bowl. And in the AFC, they're very tightly bunched. Buffalo plus 560, New England plus 650, Denver plus 775, Houston plus 845. In the NFC, San Francisco 19-1, Chicago 17-1, and then a huge drop off. Rams plus 325, Seattle plus 260.
Some similar numbers, but you get a much better number with the Bears because they're 12-1 here as opposed to 19-1. What'd you say, circa? But then some of the numbers here are better than some of your
Bears
numbers.
Bears are 17-1, and Niners 19-1.
Right. So here we got Niners 20-1, but Bears 12-1. But yeah, some of the other numbers were better here than there. So
which is interesting because you'd think Chicago and San Francisco are both popular teams by the general public.
Yeah.
But the Sharps don't normally play a lot of futures.
Right. Okay.
I mean, they might now at this point of the season with 8 teams left.
Mm-hmm.
But even there, I think they would still play based upon what the money lines would be in these games. And I don't know what San Francisco is money line, but whatever they are against Seattle, that'd probably make up for whatever they would be lessened against whoever they face in the AFC.
They're plus 280 at Seattle.
That's all.
Mm-hmm. Doesn't seem like a great number.
Not if what'd you say they are on your book?
It's 20-1 to win the Super Bowl.
See, I what would the odds be? I mean, what number would it have to be to equal 20-1 on the money line rollover? Let's say you bet 100. Okay, yeah. If you bet 100,
you're 280.
Well, okay, no, you know what? No, I'm forgetting. They still have to win 3 games, not 2 games.
Right.
No, you bet 100, so then you have 360 to roll over into the championship game, which would be on the road at either Seattle or the Rams. And then let's say let's say they're 2-1 underdogs.
Well, they're 285. 285 at LA.
And what are they at Seattle?
They're 280.
Okay, yeah, right. They would be playing. What would they be at Chicago versus LA?
They're plus 100 at Chicago and plus 285. Even money.
So I'll round it up and say, okay, so that you'd have 100, get you 260 profit, so you're 360. Let's say they're 3-1 instead of 285. So 360 is 1080 plus 360 already has you at 1440, which means you've already gotten 13-1 odds by rolling it over, and you still have 1 game to go. So you're going to get much more than 20-1 by rolling it over. Let's say, for argument's sake.
Yeah, at conference winners 10-1. Yeah,
so you're already making money.
Yeah.
At 13-1, a little bit less. 285 to 300 is not going to pay off. But then let's say, for argument's sake, they're even money in the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because the AFC team would be favored. Okay.
Right.
So you got 1440. You're now at 2880, and you put up 100. So you got 27 plus to 1, almost 28-1, as opposed to 20-1.
Yeah.
So that's why I would think that any wise guy or sharp professional, if they're going to play the 49ers, would do the rollover.
Yeah, that makes the most sense.
Absolutely. I was looking at just 2 games and saying it wasn't going to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because the 2 games would be okay. The 360 to the 3-1 would be the 1080, 1440, 13-1. So even in 2 games, you're better off playing the money rollover.
Right. Funny how much of a ripoff this is, but the people will just play them anyway. I'll play them anyway. So anyway,
which, by the way, means that the odds are even worse because you're not getting any smart money in those 20-1 odds.
That's true. Yeah. Of the 8 offenses and 8 defenses, is the Texans defense the most impressive unit of them all? Maybe Rams offense, I think, could give them a run for their money, right? It's either Rams offense or Houston defense.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it's hard to talk about the New England defense because they haven't been really challenged.
Mm-hmm.
I like their defense. Their numbers suggest they're pretty good. But playing that schedule, what would Houston's defense have done against New England's schedule?
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to think. You go, well, all right. Maybe a better comparison is Houston and Seattle's defense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I think you have to throw out Chicago, the Rams, and the 49ers. Of those 3, the 49ers, I think, has played the best given what they're playing with. And they actually, I think, let me see what San Francisco ranks in yardage defensively as a guide. San Francisco is 13th, Rams are 10th, Chicago's 23rd, and of course, Seattle is number one in terms of. Oh, I'm sorry, looking at points. San Francisco's 20th in yards, Chicago's 29th in yards, Rams are 17th, and Seattle is 6th.
Okay.
So, yeah, so Seattle is by far the best defensive team in the NFC. And as I mentioned before, if you look again at defensive numbers, you got 1, 2, 7, and 1, 2, 7, and 8. Houston 1, Denver 2, Buffalo 3, and Buffalo has only a 2-yard edge over New England.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. So yeah.
So I would say the Texans defense. But the margin, because again you have good defenses, and even in points scored, or points allowed rather, Houston is number 2, Denver's number 3, about a point worse. New England is number 4, which is a half point more they allow per game than Denver, and then you got Buffalo, which is 2.5 points worse than New England at number 12. So I think the gap in the NFC is much greater for Seattle's defense. You're talking about 1 versus 10, 13, and 23, as opposed to 2, 3, 4, and 12.
Right.
Yeah. So I would say the other defense. The defense, Texas defense is the most impressive and probably the best of them, but it's not by as wide a margin as a lot of people might think.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, there's some
as
great
opposed to
defense
Seattle's defense, where again, remember they played 12 of their 17 games against fellow NFC teams.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that their edge over the other 3 NFC playoff teams currently playing is greater. So they may have the greatest. Seattle may have the biggest edge defensively against their opponent this week than any of the other 3 better defenses.
Okay. Well, why don't we get to this week's games?
Right.
And we have 4 games. We have Saturday at 4:30. We have Buffalo at Denver. The line at least was Buffalo -1.5, and it's gone all the way to Denver -1.5 or -1, depending on where you look. And I speculate the line move is because Josh Allen, he was limited on Tuesday, and then full on Wednesday. He was full every single day last week, but he was limited here with obviously the 3 injuries that he suffered. So there's a concern that he's not 100%. Now, we did bet this at Pick'em -110 last week because we thought we'd get a great line, and I thought we did, especially when Buffalo opened. It's a -1.5 point favorite, but apparently not because now we have a bad line, which is unfortunate. I still do like Buffalo unless we get some signs that Allen is not 100% at all, like if he's not even close. Obviously, that would be huge, a huge detriment to Buffalo's chances if Allen's not healthy. So, he's definitely in the running to be MVP for that reason. Because if you take him off the team and put a mediocre quarterback in, they're not going to make the playoffs probably. So, if Allen's not doing stuff, then the Bills are probably not going to do well in this game. But he did lead a touchdown drive at the end against the Jaguars. So I'm not like that concerned about it. Whereas like I'm looking to buy out of my play. I think I'm still going to be on Buffalo here. I just think the Bills are the better team. I've been calling the Broncos a paper tiger all year. They've beaten so many bad teams by so few points. It's kind of like a running joke. Like even week 18 against the backup Chargers, they had trouble distancing themselves from them. So I like Buffalo more. I think Buffalo's the better team. I think this line's way too low, unless Allen is hurt. I made this line like way higher than I made this line like -5.5. So not that I would have booked it at 5.5. I'm just saying that like my personal numbers made this 5.5. So if you tell me Allen's 100%, I would bet the most on the Bills of any other team this week. So how do you feel about this game, Andy?
Yeah, by the way, for some reason my camera is not working. You can hear me though, can't you?
Yeah, I can hear you still. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I'll see if I can find what that is. I may end up exiting and relaunching, but we'll see.
Okay.
At least you have a picture down there, but let's see. Yeah, I'm not moving in the picture, and the camera light is off, but the mic is on, and the camera I keep switching on and off, and it doesn't come on. So anyway, um, I'm thinking that line move may have been with some concern that was mentioned about Allen.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the game actually at Westgate opened pick,
Okay.
and then quickly went up to Buffalo 1.5 by Monday, and by either last night or this morning, I guess, but yeah, by Tuesday at some point, it switched over to Denver 1.5.
Right.
So that may have to do with Allen's situation. Assuming he is okay, and we'll probably see some line movement towards Buffalo once that is. Let's see. Did he appear on an injury report today?
So on Tuesday he was limited, but then today he was full.
But what?
Today he was full.
Okay. Yeah, let me just take a quick look then at the Don Best screen and see if indeed that's the case, because I'm showing Westgate has Denver 1.5, Circa has Denver 1, South Point has Pick'em, William Hill has 1, Stations, which is a local place here, has Pick'em, Boomers, which is a relatively new book, has Denver 1.5, Golden Nugget has 1, and I'm showing let's see, DraftKings, I'm showing 1.5, so nothing significant. But I would imagine that if he participates fully tomorrow, we'll probably see some Buffalo money coming in. And I do like Buffalo in this game. I like the well, it really comes down to, again, if you take a look at offense, defense, which units, I'd have to say Buffalo's offense is the best unit on the field. Probably Denver's defense is the second best unit. And then it's almost a toss-up between Denver's offense and Buffalo's defense. Although, we know Buffalo has difficulty against the run, and they let Jacksonville run the other day for, 174 yards or something, but they still won. Mm-hmm. But they're number one against the pass. Now, part of it is that, we can run against Buffalo, so we don't have to pass as much. But the point is, when they do pass against Buffalo, they're not all that successful. In fact, I don't think that I've seen these kind of splits. This is, I think, through week 18 of the regular season. Buffalo allows 136 yards on defense, rushing, and 157 yards on defense passing. That's a very small, narrow margin between the two. However, when I did a little bit more digging into these stats, let me see where these numbers are, where I look at the seasons by quarter. Buffalo, a lot of that 136 yards per game they allowed was in their first 4 games of the season. They allowed an average of 164 yards per game on the ground. And they allowed 164 yards on the ground, then 118 in the second quarter of the season, 141 in the third quarter, and then 124 in their last 5 games of the regular season when they started to get healthier. So maybe that rushing defense, which has them 28th for the season, but that includes those 2 bad quarters when they had a lot of injuries. Mm-hmm. So I guess I would probably rate Buffalo's defense better than the Bo Nix-led Denver offense. And then with that in mind, who would I rather have at quarterback? Josh Allen or Bo Nix? It's no question.
Right.
Okay,
right.
So you'd much rather have Bo Nix in there. Josh Allen in there in late game situations. Okay, his experience, and he's had some difficulties in the playoffs. But look at the teams that he's lost to in the playoffs.
Right.
Kansas City a lot. I think Buffalo and Cincinnati, I think, may have been losses that eliminated the Bills at some point. So it's not as though they lost to inexperienced teams that were in the midst of a nice playoff run, because I think all of them were. If Allen's there, I'll feel a lot better about Buffalo. But right now, I'm inclined to pay Buffalo money line, as small as it is, and also look to hook Buffalo in a teaser, possibly with Seattle.
Okay, glad we agree on that one. And to add to something that you mentioned, you're talking about how Buffalo can't stop the run. I think that if there's one team in the AFC that can't take advantage of that, I think it's the Broncos, because the
Yeah.
Broncos don't run the ball very well. They have RJ Harvey, who's just pretty underwhelming. It's his rookie year. And he is just a guy who just dances around the backfield looking for the long distance bomb that he can run. But like he just it feels like he takes like 2 or 3 yard losses all the time. It's really frustrating. Denver EPA run offense is 20th in the NFL this year. So that's like slightly above the Eagles. So they haven't really run all that well.
Now, when I look at yards per play, Buffalo averages 5.9 going against Denver's defense, which allows 4.5. Conversely, Denver's offense averages 5.3 yards per play, which is exactly what Buffalo allows. Mm-hmm. Now, when I break it down between rushing and pass completions, yards per rush, Denver averages 4.4, while Buffalo allows 5.1. So that's a 0.7 yard edge for the Denver offense. Buffalo averages 5.0 yards per rush, and Denver allows 3.9. So that's a 1.1 yard edge for Denver's defense.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Pass. I don't look at pass yards per pass attempt. I look at per completion. Denver averages 10.1 on offense. Buffalo allows 10.5, but Denver also allows 10.5. And Buffalo a yard and a half better on offense, 11.6. So you give Denver the edge in the rushing game because of the defense, and you give Buffalo the edge in the passing game because of their offense.
How much of if we're pretend we're in the Super Contest or Circa Million still, is this a contest play for you if this were a regular season?
Well, depending upon what the other 12 games are.
Right.
I wouldn't say definitely a contest play, especially because we'd have a few more days to find out the status of Josh Allen. But I don't know that I would play Denver in the contest unless Allen was ruled out. Mm-hmm. Okay. And then, stick with Mitch the bitch. But but if this were the contest line, Denver 1.5, and Allen was good to go, I likely would be on Buffalo. Again, it depends upon the other games to choose from, but I like it enough to consider it for the contest at that line. But under no circumstances, even without Josh Allen, would I consider Denver.
Okay. I definitely feel the same way there. We have some news. Harbaugh to the Giants has been confirmed.
I just saw something come over, and I saw the headline, but I didn't read these.
Yeah, I just saw. I checked Schefter's Twitter feed. He posted this 10 minutes ago. I was listening to a New York radio station. I was listening to the Fan this afternoon, and their advice to the Giants was, "Don't let them out the building." Yeah, that's true. Dart MVP 100-1 long shot. Why not?
I don't think it'll be 100-1.
I don't know. I mean,
he might be because the Giants still have a lot of other issues that they, the one thing about the Giants and Harbaugh going to the Giants, he's not going to have an opportunity to blow too many double-digit leads.
That's true. Well, I mean, they'll get Malik Neighbors back. They'll have Jackson Dart with more experience. Cam Scatabo will be back. They have a good edge rush. They need some help, but overall,
Thomas on the offensive line.
Yeah. Thomas, Luminor's free agent, but he did well last year. They have some. They definitely have some talent. There's a foundation there at least. And they
have one of the better nucleuses of talent of the teams that are looking for new head coaches.
Yeah. So how do you feel about this hiring? Do you like it?
I like it.
Yeah. I feel like this,
I remember I joked about it. I think even last week or maybe a couple of weeks ago, I said, and this was before this past weekend, I said, wouldn't it be nice if the Steelers and Ravens traded coaches?
Right.
That could have happened.
It could have, yeah.
But no, I thought it was the right time. I mean, I don't know that there's ever a right time for coaches to leave, but basically 20 years in one position, how many rah-rah speeches can you give teams where veterans have heard the speech for the last 10 years, going into rivalry games and things like that? I'm not saying they get tuned out, but it's a lot more difficult to be fresh when you've been at the same place for 18, and that's in any job.
Yeah.
You don't work as old when you're 63 like Harbaugh is now, than you did it when you're 43.
Right. Yeah.
It's just the nature. It's the nature of growing, of aging. Let's say.
Yeah.
He's getting refreshed. I think it's a good hire for the Giants. I think the fact that he's got a quarterback who had a very good rookie season and has the potential to be good, and he's got again a healthy Neighbors next year, a healthy Scadaboo. They could have some good offensive balance if they could fill in a couple of more holes on the offensive line. They've got stuff to work with defensively, certainly up front. So, where will the Giants be picked? Maybe they'll be picked ahead of Washington.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. That obviously depends on what they do.
Yeah, a lot depends on free agency and a little bit to the draft, but not mostly free agency.
Yeah.
I mean, you'll have some good rookies, but usually most rookies don't make an impact in their first season.
Right.
Even first rounders.
Right. Exactly.
Well, you probably have some numbers on, but I would say of the 32 first round picks, what would you say? 50% have an impact? 50% are okay?
Well, I know that long term, a third of them are usually busts in the first round. So
okay, so you're talking about basically 12.
Yeah.
11 or about 11 of them. 11 out of 32, yeah.
Yeah.
You're talking about busts in the first round or busts in their career?
In their career, I guess in their career,
I would say up until the time that they move on to another team. So let's say 3 years. Maybe to the time that their rookie contract expires. Because sometimes you go to you come to a different situation, and now Trevor Lawrence is an exception because a better situation came to him in terms of coaching.
Yeah.
But sometimes players go to better situations and they flourish. Sam Darnold might be a good example.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. So, they may be busts initially, but given a reprieve by going to a second team that, utilizes a quarterback's talents instead of trying to fit the quarterback into the system. Some of these coaches are very stubborn.
Right. Yeah. So I definitely like this hire. I think it's I don't see what better hire the Giants could have made.
Stefanski might have been another one who's worked nicely with the offense. I think he would have been the number 2 choice. I guess McCarthy might have been in there.
I don't
as long as he turns over the defense to somebody.
Yeah, I've never been a fan of McCarthy. We had Kenny, who's usually our Tuesday co-host. He had an infamous rant about Mike McCarthy. This was when he was still with the Packers. And it's such a shame that we had to delete the video because he's in academics, and we were talking about he was
who Kenny is?
Yeah, Kenny. Yeah, this was a Picks podcast. So he kind of, he didn't get in trouble, but he was advised to delete all the betting content we did with him.
What, you mean from his employer?
Well,
or by someone else.
He's actually starting a new college in Florida. But they did not. He was advised not to have any gambling content.
By
like there's his investors and such. I thought
it might have been someone from the school said don't have any gambling content.
Well, he was. I think at the time he was vice president of a school in Minnesota. So
okay.
I think
you said investors.
Yeah, but now he has investors because he's starting a new school. So these people are donating to him, investing in this new school in Florida that he's starting.
Okay.
So
he's starting the school. He's like an owner of the school.
Right.
Some sort of private school.
Yeah, it's a private college. He's building he's trying to accumulate funds to start this college. So
Yeah. Good. No, so in a sense, it was school related that advised him not to have the contact, because I understand that.
yeah, right. So he was advised to do that. So we deleted this video. But in this video, he really had this like, I don't know how long it was, like 8 minutes, 10 minutes.
Whoa.
We're just ranted about how bad Mike McCarthy was a head coach. And it was maybe the funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. Like, I was dying of laughter the entire rant. He was so angry. It was so passionate. He just kept ranting about it. He wouldn't stop, like just belittling Mike McCarthy about how terrible he is. It was so good. And we don't have it anywhere. I should have saved it. I don't know. It's such a shame that it's gone.
About the Giants and Raheem Morris. Is that the second word? Is that an A or an I after the P?
they urinate on Raheem Morris.
No, by the way, I mean, I know that Raheem Morris, who was the coach before him?
Oh, Arthur Smith,
yeah.
Multi-billionaire Arthur Smith.
Yeah, the son of FedEx, Fred Smith.
Yeah, he's worth $3 billion. He could buy any team.
Hello, Federal. Thank you very much. No, but I mean, Smith was given 3 years, and they fired him. And now Morris at least had his team playing well at the end of the season. I don't know that I would have fired him. I mean, yeah, you can question some of his decisions, but the point is the team played for him when they knew his job was on the line.
Yeah, they had so many no-shows during the season, though.
Yeah.
I don't think you can really get past that. I was hoping they'd keep him so that we could bet against them. Yeah. So,
well, I was like I say, they did play for him late when the games were quote unquote meaningless to a large, for them anyway. Yeah, they kept Tampa Bay out of the playoffs. Whoopee. But I mean, they have the talent there, and they had some injuries, and they've had a pretty decent defense the last couple of years. So
the defense.
It's hard for me to. And look, we saw it and we knew the reason why Mayo only got the 1 year with the Patriots. It's hard to give a coach, less than 3 or 4 years to get a chance to put his imprint on a team. You got to go through several drafts, several free agents. So it's like, if I'm Atlanta, and again, I have no particular affection for, Raheem Morris or Arthur Blank or the Falcons or anything, but you're basically hitting reset after your team had showed some signs of life.
Yeah. And
the guy only had 1 year to, and I guess they got rid of the general manager who's responsible for getting a lot of that talent.
Right.
So, it's these teams that are constantly changing coaches. They're basically hitting reset the Raiders are a great example.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is their 5th or 6th coach since they moved to Vegas.
Yeah, a lot of these franchises just can't keep the same coach, and
no, they can, but they choose not to.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's like, yeah, they have no continuity there, and it just really hurts them in the long run.
Yeah, it's I mean, we may have seen the last with Harbaugh and Tomlin. We may have seen the last of the 15, 20-year coaches with one franchise. I saw. Where did I see that now? I read the article today that in the 4 major professional sports, football, basketball, hockey, and baseball, Eric Spoelstra of Miami is now the longest tenured, head coach, manager of a professional sports team in North America. He's been there since, I think, 2008. He took over the longest tenure in the NBA when Popovich retired from San Antonio sometime last year.
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm still trying to get the camera to work.
I don't know. I don't understand why the camera's not working. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so no what?
No, the reason is it's weird is because the camera and the headset are all connected into the same port, and the headset is picking up the feed audio, but the camera's not picking up the video.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know why. I'm not sure why. So, hopefully, get figured out. But if not, it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So, okay. So yeah, we both like Buffalo here.
So and we both like the hire of Harbaugh, and we both we both like in the first game that we've gone over, Buffalo.
Okay, so
would you like it enough for a pick based on a healthy Josh Allen?
I don't know. I'm just like, obviously, as you said, you don't know what the other games are, right? But
Right.
this is not like a sort of
Well,
game.
let me put it to you this way, because it's sort of the way that I put it. Would you consider a play on Denver if Allen is a no-go, or would you pass the game? Or let's put it this way, for contest purposes, would you just pass the game rather than play on Denver if Allen were ruled out?
Well, what would the line be at that point? Or are you saying if the contests were locked now at Pick'em?
If the contests were locked at 1.5.
Oh yeah, I would absolutely take Denver if
oh, you would? Okay.
Out. Yeah.
You would lay the 1.5. What about laying 3.5?
I think I'd go all the way up to 6.5, 5.5, 5.5 probably. Yeah, I think that's what I would do.
Well, again, considering the health status of the Buffalo receivers, then maybe that's not a bad wager after all. If you had to go with Denver, who would they lose this week?
It's just Shavers and Gabe Davis. These guys are like fourth and fifth receivers. It's only for depth. Like if the other guys get hurt, then I think that's when it would matter for me.
Yeah.
But like their top three receivers are still healthy, and their two tight ends are healthy. Although Dalton Kincaid he's listed as questionable in the best ball drafts I've been doing. So
well, it's got nothing. That's got nothing to do with his ability to play on the field, though. You mean?
Yeah, I mean, I would assume Kincaid's going to play, but anyway, no. So yeah, I think the Bills would be probably like a medium-sized play for me in the regular season.
Yeah.
And I don't know if they make the it's not like a typical contest play I would make this game. Just Bills Broncos with everyone healthy. Generally, I like to say someone who like buys put contracts and stocks and stuff like that. I like to make it's funny. I think differently. I don't know if you know any handicappers like this, but like a lot of people will make like cases to bet teams, right? I personally like to have a bear case against teams and just like look at looking at like the worst teams in the NFL or like the worst quarterbacking situations and saying like which teams are just in an abysmal situation in which like they are not going to have.
In other words, you would be looking at from the perspective of somebody who's looking to go for the booby prize in Circa.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah,
teams to bet against.
Yeah, teams to bet against, like shorting teams. It's kind of like by put contracts, the same thing. That's generally how I operate. So I will when I first start to handicap, I just go to my power rankings. I go to the worst team. And I'm like, how do I feel about the Titans this week? For example, it's the Titans. Like, how do I feel about the Titans this week? Are their opponents going to be focused? What's the matchup? Like, is another bottom team? Then I'll probably pass. But if they're playing like against a great team that maybe coming off a loss, I'm like, okay, this might look great. So we can fade them here, and then I'll go to the number 31 team, and I'll keep going up. And then that's generally how I come up with the games.
Do you end up, because I don't keep track of it, even though I put the selections in, but I don't really focus on it, tend to play more favorites or underdogs?
I tend to play more favorites.
Okay, I was just going to say, that's what your handicapping concept sounds. You're looking to go against the weakest teams.
Yeah, it worked this way. Let
me ask you the question this way also. Then you rate your teams what, A, B, C, D?
An F, yeah.
An F, okay. Do you play games between two D teams?
If they're equal, probably not. If they're
equal in the sense that they're equal both in the sense that they're D teams.
Probably not. No.
Meaning they're basically unreliable.
Yeah.
If you're bad, you're generally unreliable. If you're good, you're generally more reliable. That doesn't mean that the good teams are going to have better point spread records than the bad teams, but you feel more comfortable betting on a team that you know is good to do something that they should do because they are good than in betting on a bad team to do something bad when you know that more often they no, I'm sorry, than betting on a bad team to do something good when you know
Mhm.
that they're usually going to give you a bad performance.
Yeah, and it's funny. There were a few games that were D versus F this year, and I've
Yeah.
actually was on the F teams because the lines were just so high. Like the Jets versus the Bengals, whatever that was. I think it was week 9. I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Bengals were favored by like 7.5 or something. No, that
Yeah.
was not week 9. It was
Didn't
week 11.
didn't they win by like 4 or 5 or something?
Yeah, I didn't the Jets.
Well, the
What
Jets win that one.
I think the Jets won that one against the
Let's
Bengals.
see.
Yeah. So yeah. So okay. So yeah, Jets Bengals week 8. Bengals are favored by 6.5, and I'm like, okay, I have the Bengals as better, but that's absurd. That's an absurd line. So
Yeah.
I ended up being on
And
the
this, of course,
Jets.
was without Burrow.
You're right. Yeah, this
Yeah,
Flacco.
week 8. Yeah.
Yeah, it's Flacco by then. So, yeah, I thought that was an absurd spread. So, like, it's not like I like it's this bear case against the Jets didn't exist because they're playing against another bad team.
Right.
But generally, if the Jets are playing a great team, a good example is Week 17 against the Patriots. I had the Patriots for a big play. They were
Yeah.
13.5 point favorites on the road. I
Well, the
thought they'd
Jets
be
also were in the middle of that streak where they, were being outscored by like 28 points per game the
and
last
right,
5 games.
and they were the worst team in my power rankings. So I began with them, and I see them. Okay, they're 13.5 point home underdogs, but they have nothing going on. They have the worst quarterback in the NFL, and Brady Cook, and they're playing against one of the best teams. Well, maybe not one of the best teams, but the team 5 through 8 or whatever. And that team was going to be focused. There's no way they were going to let down here, and I thought it was just a great play. So it was my top play that
Now,
week.
you use numerical numbers with your power ratings?
Yeah, sort of. Like I know where it's not like defined, but it's in a range. So
Well, let
it's
me
not
let
like
me ask you, who's your number 32 team? The Jets.
yeah, to close out. Yeah.
Who's number 31?
I'd have to look. It was where's my power rankings file? I just updated. Oh, there it is. Okay, let me open it. So the Jets were 32 and the Raiders are 31.
And how about number 30?
The Chiefs.
Oh, okay.
With Oludekon / Shane Buechele.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, but I'm saying that I I don't make adjustments to the ratings for the for the injuries. I factor the injuries in once I come up with my number because there's more than just the quarterback and the key defensive people on the team because they do get to replace them. But I know because I'll tell you where I'm headed. I have the Jets as number 32.
Yeah.
I have the Raiders as number 31, but I have the Raiders about 2 points better than the Jets. And then I have Tennessee and Cleveland, numbers 29 and 30, and I have those teams 2.5 points better than the Raiders, number 31.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, my bad teams at the bottom are really bad because there's a huge difference. Now, when I go to the top, for example, I have Seattle number 1. This is after the wild card round. And I have Seattle by 0.9 over the Rams because I still have the Rams as the number 2 team based upon overall performance. Now, when I talk about, we'll get to the game, but we talk about recency, that's a little different. But the raw numbers, and they have a 2-point, I have Houston, my number 3 team, which is a little bit more than 2 points below the Rams, and Jacksonville, number 4, which is about a point behind Houston. I do have New England because, again, even though they play the weak schedule, they still performed well against that weak schedule. Mm-hmm. I have them almost 2.5 points below Jacksonville. So as you can see, I have Houston rated above New England. Combination, one's 3, one's 5, but the difference I have is on a neutral field, I have Houston about 3.3 points better. When I factor in my home field advantage, I have Houston about 0.8 better.
Okay.
So we'll get to that game a little bit later, but I was just curious, if the bad teams that you have at the bottom are really bad like mine are, or if they're still grouped relatively closely to one another in your rating of F, rating of D, etc.
I think the Jets might have been the first G team. I didn't designate it like that in my power rankings.
Yeah.
But they were that bad that they were so far worse than everyone
Well, just
else.
to give you an example, in college football, Indiana this year has achieved the highest power rating in the system that I've been using literally for 60 years.
Wow.
I'm 71. I started when I was like 10 years old.
Yeah.
At that point, I think there were maybe only, I don't know, there were probably, I don't know, maybe 95 teams that I kept track of, because I didn't keep track of a lot of the smaller conferences. And then gradually I added in like the Mid-American Conference. And, because now I track 136 FBS teams. Indiana has my highest rating that I've ever given to a team. And it's interesting because it's been about 25 years since the previously highest team ranking was achieved. So I've gone like 25 years without having a team achieve. I think it was one of the Oklahoma teams of the 1990s. It may have been that, or maybe it was one of the Miami teams in the late 80s when they were just pouring over a body, went undefeated, won by an average of 30 points a game or something like that, and played a competitive schedule. So, So I don't know who my worst overall team is, but I could probably go back at some point because I have all these files that I keep these regression ratings on. So I could probably go back at least 20, 25 years and see if anybody's ever rated lower than these New York Jets. There might have been. I mean, the 0-16 Lions, the 0-16 Browns.
Right. Yeah, they were awful.
But I don't remember any team in NFL history. Sorry for this. I don't remember any team in NFL history with as bad a 5-game stretch as far as margins of defeat as the New York Jets were over the last 5 games.
I mean, they got blown up by Mitch Trubisky.
I'm just going to read this here. Let me call it up here in a moment because these numbers are truly staggering. When I take a look at where we got the standings here, okay, I'm going to go with the New York Jets. Okay, their last 5 games. So we're going back to, let me see here. We are going back to, their last win was November 30th, when somehow miraculously they beat the Falcons 27-24. Okay?
Right. Yeah. That's
December, first game at home against the Dolphins, they lost by 24. The following week at the Jaguars, they lost by 28. The following week at New Orleans, they lost by 23. The following week at home to the Patriots, they lost by 32. And then they went out in a blaze of glory at Buffalo, losing by 27. So that's 27, 59, 82, 110, 134. If I did it correctly, that's still, and even if it's incorrect, that's still 26.8 points per game.
Yeah.
Over a 5-game stretch. It's hard to do if you tried.
And they kept their head coach.
I don't know that I've. Yeah. Well, he didn't miss any tackles.
I guess he was the defensive coach though, but that's really embarrassing.
Yeah, well, a lot of the points they gave up were the results of an inept offense that was always punting from inside their 15-yard line.
That's true. Yeah, they had a lot of injuries at corner as well. So and they traded their 2 best defensive players.
Well, and they traded away their 2 best defensive players.
Yeah, exactly.
And they lost Garrett Wilson, their best receiver, for a good part of the season. So there were. I don't call them excuses in this case. I call them explanations.
Yeah, that's fair.
There's a difference between an excuse and an explanation.
Yeah, that's certainly true.
Most people, I won't say confuse the two, but equate the two.
Yeah, makes
Indiana
sense.
had a higher, than Joe Burrow's national. Yeah, the reason being is that LSU played tougher competition, so they faced teams that had higher power ratings than some of the Indiana teams. But when Indiana blows out a team by 45, you can't help but increase the power rating.
Yeah, that's true. So I take you like Indiana in the championship?
I like them to win, but I am strongly considered. Well, sometimes you have to take a look inside all these numbers, and we know how good both of these teams are. Yeah, Miami had 2 losses. I think one was by 3 and one was by 5 or something like that. And they had, of course, the loss earlier in the season. I forget who it was, but no, I'm sorry, they only had the 2 losses to SMU and Louisville. But both of these teams, Ohio State ended the season back-to-back games against Indiana and Miami both on neutral fields. They lost Ohio State lost 13-10 to Indiana in the Big Ten championship game, played, by the way, in Indianapolis, as I recall.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it was still a neutral site game because of the ticket allocation and all that. Although the local people in Indianapolis probably got to scoop up a lot of tickets because I believe it's kind of like the Super Bowl. I believe that the host city in the Super Bowl gets maybe 5% of the overall tickets for local distribution, and I think they do the same thing in some of these playoff games, but conference championships. And then Miami beat Ohio State in the I think it was a Peach Bowl. It's in the Peach Bowl or the Fiesta Bowl, one of those two. No, I'm sorry, they beat Ohio State. There's one of the games. So I think it was just one. I think it was just called first round playoff game. I don't think it was a bowl per se. They beat them 24-14. But if you look at the stats between those two games against Ohio State, they are fairly similar. Indiana did have the better stats, okay, but they're not by a huge margin. And actually, if I remember correctly, Ohio State, I think, was favored by like 2.5 over Indiana. You know what? Let me call that up because it basically the line says that if you go by what Ohio State was favored by against Indiana and against Miami on the same field, that this line should probably be closer to 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
And it's 8.5 and probably headed to 9.
Yeah.
Okay. This will be the best defense. Well, if you argue that Ohio State was a great defense, and they were pretty good this year, I'd say they ranked very highly. Then both teams faced Ohio State. Indiana had a lowest point total of the year, 13. They won 13-10. Mm-hmm. Miami put up 24. Okay.
Right.
Notre Dame. Miami allowed 14. Indiana allowed 10. I think the total yards were, relatively the same as far as the net margins, if I remember. I'm going to see if I have that here somewhere. But Indiana is a special team. Like I said, they had the highest rating ever. And, remember, this is not a one-year wonder.
Yeah.
They had a great season last year. What were they, 13-2 or something, I think, with Cignetti. In his first year, we brought a lot of his James Madison players over with him. Mm-hmm. And this year, they just they didn't build upon it. They just continued from where they left off.
Right.
And so they're a really good team. So you could, and you take a look who these teams played. Miami played Texas A&M, Ohio State, and I think an underrated Ole Miss team. Remember, Ole Miss had only one loss going into the Miami game, and they lost that one on the last possession by 4 points.
Mm-hmm. Right, that was a back and forth game.
And you had Indiana played. I'm trying to remember who they played their first game. It was Alabama. They blew them out 38-3, I think it was. And then, of course, they played Oregon. They blew them out 56-22.
Yeah.
So they how would I rate A&M and Ohio State as far as the playoff teams? And then who was the other team Miami played? Ole Miss versus Oregon and it was the first time I said they made Indiana, Alabama.
Alabama, yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably say that even though they played that extra game, I think Miami had a tougher path. Number one, they had to win more games because they played in that opening round game because they were not seeded 1, 2, 3, 4. Indiana seeded number 1. So that's why I'm not automatically going to Indiana, even though my numbers suggest that Indiana should. I think my power ratings have Indiana by 11.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. I have about 14.
Oh, 14. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But and again, Miami had a couple of losses there that reduced their power ratings at the same time that Indiana's ratings were. I don't know if Indiana's rating. I'm going to go back and check this. If Indiana's power rating ever went down at any point during the year.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is, I say, okay, I predict them to win by 5, and they win by 25. Their rating is going to go up a couple points. Mm-hmm. On the other hand, if I predict them to win by 20 and they win by 10, their rating is going to go down a point or 2.
Right.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Overall. So And the reason I do it is because you score in football. You score. You don't see that's a problem sometimes with power ratings because in most sports, like in baseball, you score by runs, 1-1-1-1. In hockey, you
Right.
score by goals, 1-1-1-1. In basketball, you scores in 1, 2s, and threes. In footballs, you basically scores in 3s and 7s.
Yeah, and
So,
that's why when you asked me if I have like specific numbers for the power rankings,
yeah,
ratings, whatever, I said I have like more of a general range than
yeah,
an actual number.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like a 0 to 3, a 4 to 7,
I
8
have
to
I have a
10.
group. Yeah, I have a group of teams that are 3 points better than the next group, and then 3 points
Yeah,
better than the next group. So
yeah,
that's how I handle that generally. So
yeah. So,
yeah. All right, we can head to the next game. I think.
yeah.
We have the 49ers at the Seahawks. This is Saturday at 8 o'clock. The Seahawks were favored by 7.5 to start. They are now favored by 7. So there's a possibility, I think, that Fred Warner might play. Now, they said that he was going to return most likely for the championship game, but he was limited twice. And, and he'd spirit. Maybe he didn't like my analysis there. We'll see if Andy comes back. I think he's probably checking to see if he could fix the camera. There we go. Andy, you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I decided
Yeah.
to unplug something that connected the whole system together.
You actually sound better. You sound
it.
better now. You sound better now.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I still can't see you, but we can hear you better.
You should be able
There
to
we
see
go.
me. Yeah.
There we go. There we go. Finally, there we go. Okay, so what I was saying was Fred Warner. He is speculated to come back at the championship game if they make it there, but he was limited twice this week, and they're not bound by him not by him playing in the championship game. Like
there's a probability of earning, but it's probably maybe 30-70.
I think that's probably correct.
They have not ruled him out yet.
Yeah, right. So he could still play, which would be a huge deal against this Seattle offense that likes to run the ball a lot, and they ran all over San Francisco in the Week 18 matchup. So
but they only put up 13 points.
Right. They only scored 13. That's true. They did blow some chances to score more. But my concern would
remember, even the best teams are going to have half a dozen to 10 bad plays during the course of a game.
Yeah. I know.
Just don't know when and what the situation is.
Yeah, I think if you were to replay that game 10, 20, 30 times, I think Seattle would score in the 20s kind of reliably. I think, but they only did score 13.
No way to say because you're not
matchup.
going to get the same teams playing. But sometimes you overperform, sometimes you underperform.
Yeah, I just think based on the matchup, I think they would probably score in the 20s. I mean, that's their average, and the Niners have a below average defense. So at least as far as the I guess the pass is concerned. And the run defense has gotten worse because they lost Tatum Bethune in Week 18, which is why they were suddenly bad against the run, where they were generally good against the run for most of the year. But without Tatum Bethune, they got worse against the run. So my point is having Fred Warner on the field.
That's a one-game sample.
Well, 2 games so far. They couldn't stop Saquon. Saquon couldn't run at all.
When did he get injured? In game 18, in week 18,
we ahead of weeks 17. So
okay, so he missed the week 17 and 18.
Yeah, he missed the finale, and then he missed the opening round of the playoffs. So
yeah, so the Seattle game was the first one he missed.
Yeah, so in those 2 games. Yeah. They haven't been able to stop the run, whereas they were good against the run otherwise.
What the Eagles run? They ran for a little over 100, didn't they? Against
Barkley ran for like 106 or something, where he couldn't run for against anyone all year except for the Giants the second game. It is a small sample size, but it does make sense that if your best active linebacker goes down, you're going to be worse against the run. Yeah. But Fred Warner returning would be a huge boon to help that, even if he's not 100%. So
well, the other thing to keep in mind is as the corollary to that is that yes, the backup is going to be worse than the guy replaced, but you would tend to think, especially with smart teams and smart coaching, that the gap between what you saw in his first game would be narrowed somewhat in the second game as he gets more assimilated into the defensive game plan.
The problem is their backup for Bethune, who was the backup for Warner. Yeah. He is. It's what Eric Kendricks is like 1 million years old. Yeah. So like,
what's he been with the team, like 4 hours or something?
Yeah, exactly. So
So I mean, he's still getting familiar with the with the verbiage and the schemes, etc.
Yeah. Eric Hendricks is by the way, it's 30. He's gonna be 34 in a month.
He's no Jimmy.
Yeah, he's getting up there in age, so you wouldn't expect him to play well, but like I said, Warner coming back would be absolutely enormous. So the other factor in that game was the reason why the Niners scored 3 points is because Trent Williams was out. And that was the reason why I bet Seattle in that game, or at least one of the reasons, is because Trent Williams missing against the team with the second most quarterback pressures in the NFL. That just seemed like way too much to overcome, and Brock Purdy saw a ton of pressure. Now Trent Williams is back. He played last week. He wasn't quite himself. Like I didn't think he had.
He was rusty, but he didn't hurt him.
Right. I mean, he was better than his backup, and you would think with a week off, he's going to be closer to 100%. Right. So they're going to have a better chance blocking against Seattle. And if you just take that Week 18 game out because Trent Williams didn't play, Seattle against teams that were like San Francisco or better, they have not won by more than 8 points.
By margins, yeah.
Right. They have not won by 2 scores against any team that is considered to be good this year.
Yeah, so, Seattle is the NFC's version of the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I think that's about right. So
in many ways, including narrow margins against good teams.
Yeah. So I think this could be a close game, especially given that San Francisco just saw Seattle, and they're going to have a way to game plan against what Seattle just saw with Trent Williams and perhaps with Fred Warner. So, I like San Francisco here. It's not like one of my favorite plays, but I am considering
a small contest bet. Play?
No, I'm considering a small bet. Not going to be a contest play. What do you think about this game?
I do like San Francisco. I don't have them winning the game. I don't think. Well, let me see. Let me see what I wrote on this one. No, I have Seattle winning 27-23, and I made the 49ers the selection and a slight lean to the over.
Okay.
On the thought that, having Trent Williams back should be worth perhaps between a field goal and a touchdown.
So
the 3 points they scored against Seattle was an aberration. It's going to make much more of a difference.
Yeah, with Williams back for sure. How much do you like this game?
This would be a contest play if I play.
Okay. So
again, because of the familiarity, and remember, even back at the start of the season, I know you don't count Week 1 for a lot of purposes. However, based upon your rationale for not liking Week 1 games, I don't think applies because both San Francisco and Seattle are considered to be, and were before the season started, considered to be good teams that would not be affected by the shortened practices and all that.
Yeah, right.
And they played, I think, what was a 17-13 game. And I think the 49ers had about the kind of edge statistically in that game that the Seahawks had against San Francisco in Week 18.
Yeah, they had Nick Bosa in that game. They also had George Kittle. George Kittle got hurt in that game. I think he's caught a touchdown. He got hurt right away. Of course, George Kittle's not going to play, but Jake Tonches has proved that he could be a good
capable,
replacement. Yeah. So, I think we're definitely on the same two sides here. And I take
except you wouldn't like it as a contest play.
I look. It would be a small bet, and it would depend. Again, it would depend on.
I'm just thinking, getting even with all the injuries. Again, you know each other, etc. You played a close game the first time in Week 1, and the second time you played a game where Seattle, and again it was a small point spread. Well, didn't Seattle go off like a 3-point road favorite in that one? Against San Francisco in Week 18. But it was still a game where Seattle did not, at least on the scoreboard, win in a blowout.
Yeah.
So that's why I would like that. But no, you're going to ask, did I like this one as much? What is the Buffalo game?
Yeah. I assume you like this one more than Buffalo. I mean, just based on
I have to like this one a little bit more simply because of the point spread. As far as my confidence in both of them, I don't know that either one is especially great. I suppose I would have again, because of the quarterback differential in Denver, I'd probably like Buffalo a little bit more, even though it's closer to a pick'em game than this one is. At the same time, how much of an edge do you give Purdy over Darnold? Not as big an edge, obviously, as Allen over Nix.
No, definitely not.
But you would give him the edge.
I mean, Allen and Nix is just a huge.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying you would give Purdy the edge over Darnold.
Darnold, yeah, I would, yeah. Although Darnold, when he's not facing pressure, is pretty good. Is usually pretty good, and the Niners don't get pressure. They have the fifth fewest.
Well, let's see what happens if Warner plays.
Yeah, I mean that would help their coverage, run defense, pretty much everything. So it would be enormous if he played.
It would give, regardless of the degree of pressure, it would likely give Purdy less time to make a decision.
Darnold, you mean? Yeah.
Darnold, to make a decision.
Yeah, exactly. So, everyone's treating this like a gimme. We did best ball drafts yesterday. Jackson Smith and Jigba's going second overall because people just assume Seattle's going to win, and I'm like, I don't know. I think this could be this really close to a coin flip. Maybe not quite the coin flip, but it wouldn't surprise me at all if San Francisco.
What'd you say the money was? Plus 180 or something like that?
The money line is
plus 260. Plus
280 or 260.
I think it's at 260 when we did the little math thing, the rollover before. Yeah.
Yeah, let me make sure about that. I it's either 280 260, I can't remember. 280. It's 280. So
280, okay.
Yeah. So yeah.
So that gives it close to a 75% chance that Seattle wins.
Yeah. And
minus 300 would be 3-1 would be 75%.
Yeah, and I don't think that's correct. I don't think they should be as big favorites. And the line was 3 because I know in the contest it was 1.5, but it did close at 3, right?
Yeah.
You would think that it would be 6, and then with the rest 6.5, maybe that would be the right number because it did open 7.5. Like I think I made this line 5.5. I think, personally. Well,
if you consider the conditions to be similar to what they were in Week 18, other than the site, composition of the teams. If Seattle's 3 on the road, they really don't. People don't really. They don't have that much of a home field advantage. In fact, let me just see what I wrote here, because I think I checked Seattle here somewhere.
Yeah, they definitely lost their home field advantage from about a decade ago. That's for certain.
Yeah, they actually have performed better on the road the last couple of years under McDaniel. I guess when I look at it, so if they're favored by 3 at San Francisco, maybe on a neutral field they're favored by 4.5, and then maybe back home they're favored by 6.5. So the line is not that much greater than what it would be, but it's moving. In fact, it's interesting because the line opened 7.5, dipped to 7. It opened 7, went to 7.5, and it's now back at 7.
Yeah, and also, I mean, Trent Williams is playing too, so he has to be worth something as well, obviously.
Yeah.
So I think we agree that this line's a bit too high. Kimmy Eagle says when.
And by the way, anyone who likes Seattle, I can't argue with them.
Yeah, look, I think.
I can't argue with them, but I understand the point of view.
Yeah, Kim Eagle says Week 1 when San Francisco was healthy, they only beat Seattle.
It was 17-13, but the base was basically the same. Yeah.
Yeah, 17-13. How are they scoring 23 off a short week facing a rested Seattle defense? Because you had 27-23, right? I think my predicted score is 23-17, I believe. Yeah,
I'm counting on Darnold having some turnovers.
Okay. Which did he do? I don't know if he did that in Week 1. I'm not. Like I said, Week 1 doesn't count, so I don't really remember.
Well, let me see. I'll take a look. What did he have in Week 18? Did he have any? I think he did because they only put 13 points up.
Let's see. So I write analysis for every game in my Excel. So it's just a quick thing to remind me of. So for that game, I wrote the 49ers made a lot of mistakes with Brock Purdy throwing 2 picks and Jake Moody missing 2 kicks. Purdy recovered from losing George Kittle by engineering a late touchdown drive. Seahawks looked like they'd matched, but Sam Darnold lost a fumble in the red zone. So there we go.
He did not throw a touchdown pass or an interception, which is not surprising in a game that they didn't score a touchdown. Sacked twice in that game. Let me go back to.
So he lost. Is that week 1 or week 18?
That's week 18.
Okay.
Were you looking at week 1?
Yeah, that's what I wrote for week 1. Darnold fumbled in the red zone on the final drive.
Yeah, I'm taking a look here. Seattle. He also had 1 sack in that game. He didn't in the 2 games against the 49ers. He had neither a touchdown pass nor an interception.
Right, the lost fumble in week 1. In that week 1 game, San Francisco outgained Seattle 384 to 230, and yards per play was 5.3.
And I think it was just the opposite in week 18, wasn't it?
Yeah, 5.3 to 4.6. In week 18, it was 361 to 173 Seattle, albeit no Trent Williams, and 5.4 to 4.1 Seattle. So
and you said San Francisco, had the big edge in the game they won at Seattle, and Seattle had the big edge in the game they won at San Francisco.
Yes. So my score for this is 23-17. So San Francisco covers the 7. If this line were 6, it would be like flipping a coin for me. So
I'm thinking that with Williams in there for San Francisco, it helps their scoring opportunities, which would force Seattle to play a little bit more up-tempo game to keep pace or to extend the lead.
Yeah. Kimmy says Seattle also turned it over on downs when they were 4th and short inside the 10. Yeah, they wasn't that like one of their opening drives they did that? I believe so.
I don't recall.
Yeah. First drive. Yeah, I remember missing the first drive because I was driving home from my parents' house back to my house with my kids, and I was at a red light. I was looking at the game flow, and I remember them missing on 4th down, and because I bet in Seattle, and I was pissed off. So I do remember that clearly. So, all right. So we agree on 2 games thus far, which is nice. I think.
We agree on Saturday.
Yes. Well, I believe we're going to disagree on this next game just based on what you were saying.
Yeah, I'm sure we are. Because I think I know you like New England.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get to that game, which is Texans at the Patriots. This line was 2.5. It's gone up to 3. So there might be weather in this game. I think it's a little too early to look at weather, but I was looking at the forecast and it says possible snow, which can't be good for Houston. I think that would favor the Northeast team rather than the Texan team. But we like
the weather last week favored Philadelphia over the 49ers.
Exactly right. Yeah. So
I think people remember both teams have to play in it, and both teams have players on their roster from warm weather climates, for the off season, and cold weather climates.
Yeah, I wrote this on the site. It would not preclude the Texans from winning, but it might be like a small edge or something. Just I don't know. Like for example, like we know Tua Tagovailoa is awful in cold weather.
Yeah.
But he's
awful in good weather too.
It's true.
No, I'm serious. I mean, you tend to make a lot of because unlike I'll look at Houston and say, okay, Houston creates a lot of turnovers. Well, in weather conditions like this, both teams are likely to suffer turnovers. Houston might be more likely to create more of them than New England.
Yeah. That's certainly true. So,
not that I'm saying they will or anything. I'm just saying that, it's the conditions. Both teams play in the same conditions. And, if it's like it's going to be like 12 degrees in Chicago, I don't think the Bears like that temperature any more than the Rams will.
Well, I mean, we saw the Rams almost beat the Eagles in the blizzard.
Yeah, that's the example that I use as far as this week goes, and them playing in Chicago. They nearly beat the Eagles in even worse conditions with the snow.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right. Well, that aside, I have the Patriots rated as a better team than Houston. Now, Houston has the best unit but I just think they had the worst unit too. Like I don't like their offense. CJ Stroud turned the ball over 3 times last week against the Pittsburgh defense that couldn't stop the run at all. So you would think, like, how did they turn the ball over 3 times? They could just run the ball the entire game, which they did. Woody Marks got to 100 yards. Nick Chubb even almost got to 50 yards. So they just ran right over Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh had probably one of the worst run defenses in the playoffs. Patriots are better against the run. They aren't great against the run, but they are better than Pittsburgh was. But to me, I look at the quarterbacking. I think is a big edge for the Patriots. I think the Patriots had the better offensive line. And they had more rest than Houston. Houston played Monday night. And I know that a good team can recover from this a lot better than a bad team, but it can't hurt the Patriots that they have an extra day to prepare for this game. So
could be rusty. Could be rusty.
That's why I don't think they'd be rustier if one day extra. Yeah. It's not like
now you want to say the travel? Yeah, that is a little bit of an edge for them. But again, I think that's over. See, the thing is, and we always hear, about the impact. Well, it's tough to play on Thursday nights, etc. If you played Sunday, blah, 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 then the long-term history. What the long-term history doesn't tell you, or at least rarely tells you, let's break it down between good teams and bad teams who create that 3-17 ATS record.
Yeah.
How many of those 17 losses were, elite teams? Or let's say I'll use my ABCD. I use ABC, but let's use ABCD. How many of those of the 17 and the 3-17? How many of those 17 ATS losses came against A and B teams versus C and D teams?
No, I think you're right. I think the bad teams.
Good teams generally are not affected nearly as much as bad teams are.
Mm-hmm.
By let's call it the difficult or challenging scheduling dynamics.
Yeah, we agree with that. We agree on that for sure. We kind of discovered that during the regular season where Monday night teams had a hideous record coming off, coming on the short week. But we found that it was the bad teams that were never covering, and it was the good teams that were covering. And it just happened to be that the bad team, there were more bad teams playing on Monday night than good teams, at least in the first half of the season. So,
and that also that probably happens a lot of times on most seasons on Monday night games, because when you put the schedule together for Monday night, although I think over the years Sunday nights have become the more popular game, it's more attractive game of the week than the Monday night games. But for many years, the marquee game would often be the Monday night game, and teams that you thought before the season started were going to be good, and when the Cowboys meet the let's say the Cowboys meet the 49ers in the 11th week of the season, all of a sudden, the Cowboys are 3-7 and the 49ers are 8-2, as opposed both expected to be 7-3 or 8-2. So you have a lot more teams that turn out to be bad that are slotted into the Monday night game because it made sense to include them, because the expectation was they were going to be a good team.
Yeah.
And I think there are certain points in the season where you can't flex out.
Right. So yeah, I mean, you said you had a conspiracy theory earlier. My conspiracy theory is that Roger Goodell, and we know he has he definitely carries
grudge.
It's got a grudge against people because he does against me. I know that. So I know that for a fact.
That's a firsthand experience.
Yes. So I think he has a grudge against ESPN because ESPN launched that show Playmakers almost 20 years ago now.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know if did you ever see that show?
I don't believe so. No.
It was kind of like a soap opera about the NFL.
I remember hearing about it, but I don't believe I ever watched it.
Okay. It was good. It was good. Oddly enough,
I was busy watching Emmett dancing.
Nice.
No, I wasn't.
Okay, I was about to say. Oddly enough, a lot of girls I know watched it because I would have, they would know what I did, and they'd be like, "Oh, did you see Playmakers? Is so good." And I was like, "Oh, you watch it? Like, yeah, so great." It was.
Oh, I thought you were talking about a lot of girls watching Emmett dancing.
Maybe they did too. They didn't.
You didn't talk about it, though. Yeah.
Right. If they did, they didn't talk about it. But no, they love the show, and like Roger Goodell forced ESPN to cancel the show, and I think it would have been a hit for many years. It was it was a really cool show. You had the
You see, I don't know why I don't know why Goodell would hold a grudge or whatever if they canceled it. If they hadn't canceled it, I could certainly understand him holding a grudge.
But I think what happened was they ran it by him, and he said no, and they ran it anyway, and then
okay, that's different then, yeah.
Yeah, he pressured them into it, and
into canceling it after one season or something.
Yeah. So I think Goodell purposely, again, this is my conspiracy theory, it could be wrong, but I think he purposely gives ESPN some bad games. Like,
I would say in one sense I could understand it, but then when you get down to the bottom line, it's all about money, and they make money from these TV contracts. Money trumps conspiracy.
It does,
and I'm not referring to the president. I'll phrase it differently. Money takes precedence, not president. Money takes precedence over conspiracy.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, you're right. But at the same time, they're going to make money no matter who's playing anyway. So
yeah, but it's more money.
Yeah.
Remember, he may hate ESPN, but ESPN is still a bidder for the NFL.
Yeah,
and they would like, if NBC, CBS, and Fox know that ESPN is no longer bidding because they're pissed off at Goodell, that means that NBC, CBS, and Fox are fighting only against 2 contenders rather than 3, and they can lowball the NFL as far as what they're going to ask for.
Right, yeah.
So at least that's what smart business strategy would suggest.
Well, is there a smart business strategy though?
Well, on the part of the networks, yes.
Right. Well, I mean, for Goodell, we don't know.
Well, it's hard to screw up the NFL.
It's hard, yeah.
As far as making money is concerned.
But he's made some bad decisions. So I don't know. He's made some.
We've talked about the good decisions that he's made also, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll be fair. Yeah, Goodell's done some good things. He's done some bad things.
He's given those early morning European games.
Ugh, it's awful. I think
one less game you have to be bored by, depending on. They're not going to give great Well, they rarely give great matchups over there. They may turn into some really good games, but they don't have the marquee value as far as 49ers versus Chiefs or something like that.
Right. That was certainly a bad.
For the most part.
I think he's done more bad than good. But
but you know what? The owners would disagree.
I think the owners just want to play it safe, and because they know they're making money.
The owners have never been worth more than they are right now.
Yep.
And Goodell's had a lot to do with that.
Yeah, I would argue that they could be worth even more if they had someone better than Goodell. I think that
we don't know.
Yeah, we don't know.
Look at all the contracts that he's entered into with Amazon Prime, Netflix, Apple.
Right.
We don't know that other. You see, it's a tough question to answer because you don't know what would have taken its place, but you don't know that other commissioners would have been as aggressive in working out these other plans.
Right. Yeah. That's fair. We also don't know the long-term ramifications from these things too. If they turn off a viewer base that is not going to come back because they can't view the games, they get pissed off. So we don't know. We don't know this stuff yet, but it is true that he's made them a lot of money, and that's why he still has a job. So,
well, I look at it this way: Amazon would not be paying the NFL as much money as it's paying them if they weren't attracting new customers by virtue of the fact that several games, let's say one game a week, is being shown on Amazon Prime and not on I'm not going to say free TV. There's no such thing anymore because you pay for cable, and there's no more analog stuff over the air. So you got satellite and all that, but you're paying for that stuff. But the point is that Amazon must have had some idea of what their growth would be, how much their growth would be enhanced by paying the NFL to give them exclusive rights to the games. Now, of course, the solution to that is NFL Network. Once the game on Amazon Prime is over, an hour later it's on NFL Network.
Yeah.
But how many people? If you're into handicapping and betting, or you're a really good fan, you're going to watch a game that you maybe already know the result of, or that is being watched at, that you recorded at a different time. But most people are not going to be rewatching the game unless they've already watched the game and enjoyed it and they want to watch it again.
Yeah.
So Amazon had to realize they're going to get a lot of business from people who, I mean, look, we're spoiled here in Las Vegas, and I'm sure around the country there are a lot of sports bars that have Amazon Prime exclusively for the the Thursday night game or whichever one it is that they do on it. But the point is that even in a sports bar, that could be, let's say, 150 people that Amazon isn't selling their package to because those 150 people are able to watch it in a bar.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're just a fan who sits at home and you don't have Amazon Prime and you don't, do a lot of business with Amazon online, you might not want to pay for the Amazon Prime to get those games.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I don't believe. Do you have the NFL package?
I have NFL Plus.
Okay. Are Amazon Prime games included in that?
I haven't tried to watch because I just have Prime, so I just watch on Prime. I haven't tried to watch on NFL Plus.
Well, I meant okay, yeah, because I don't know because I watch everything from a different type of feed, so I don't have to worry with. Although I do have Amazon Prime, so I can watch it.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean that's one of the things that Goodell has done is that he's been able to sell the rights to games to more than just the traditional, Well, it used to be 3: ABC, CBS, NBC, and then of course Fox came along about 30 years ago and became a major player. I mean, it was big news when Fox got the NFC contract from CBS.
Oh yeah,
way back then.
Simpsons and Married with Children helped with that.
Yeah, that helped a lot too.
Yeah, it really did.
And those shows got helped greatly by the NFL being the lead-in.
No, yeah. I remember. When I was a kid, it was you'd have the NFL from 1 to 7, whatever, and then you would just go into the Simpsons and then Married with Children.
Yeah, which is a lot different than going into 60 Minutes. No, because I would think, and again, I don't know. I'm just guessing my impression and observation of American culture and society that the Simpsons and Married with Children would outdraw 60 Minutes.
I would think so. Yeah, I would think so.
Certainly from the more casual football fan.
Yeah, and it's The Simpsons is still going.
Yeah.
And I feel like they could reboot Married with Children, Married with Grandchildren. They could certainly do that. I don't know why they haven't. I guess Ed O'Neill needs to sign up for it, but they could do it. I mean, he's done on what was that Modern Life, Modern Family.
Modern Family, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was good on that. Yeah.
That was a great show.
Anyway, we're with Houston and New England.
Houston, New England too, and I don't know why we stopped here, but I rate the Patriots better than the Texans a little bit, and so we stopped on the rest. So like my thing with the rest and the weather is that like it's not like a big edge for the Texans. There might not even be a significant like a medium-sized edge, but it's something that
you mean for the Patriots.
Yeah. I meant a disadvantage for Houston. Like, I don't think it can't hurt. It can't hurt for the Patriots to have these edges, right? No. But I do think they have the better quarterback, and I do think they have the better offensive line. Obviously, Houston is the better defense, but I just feel like when you're talking about Drake May versus
in many ways, it's like the Buffalo-Denver game.
Yeah.
Best offense against the best defense in the matchup.
Although I'm still not a believer in Denver's defense, but I am in Houston. Houston's defense is
I'm saying that you have Buffalo's offense. Well, okay, yeah, you don't rate Denver's defense as high as let's say that a lot of people do. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, right. So I think this is like a better example of what you're talking about. So I trust May over Stroud, although May did have 2 turnovers last week as well. So I would take the Patriots -3. If this were 3.5, I would not be on it. So it's not like I love this game.
In other words, you would almost be like me in the Buffalo game where if the line if something changed, I wouldn't be on Denver.
Yeah.
And if this line went 3.5, you would pass the game. You wouldn't be on Houston plus the 3.5.
Right. Yeah, so I liked it a lot more at 2.5. 3, I like it a little bit. 3.5, I would not like it. So that's where I stand. But I trust that you're on Houston. So
Yeah.
you want to tell me why do you like Houston?
Let me see here. Okay, I'll read what I wrote here since it encapsulates everything. The issues that, and I mentioned it, I think, a little earlier. The issues that plagued the Chargers' offensive line, especially left tackle, finally became their undoing last week as quarterback Herbert was constantly under pressure all game from New England's defense that sacked him 6 times, pressured him 24 times for 30 pressures and 44 dropbacks. At the same time, Patriots quarterback May was sacked 5 times by the Chargers and pressured another 11 times, totaling 16 pressures and 34 dropbacks. This is important since as solid as was the Chargers' defense, Houston's is even more formidable. The Pats have been one of the NFL's biggest surprises this season, and first-year coach Vrabel is likely to win Coach of the Year honors. Since both Coach Ryans and quarterback Stroud joined the Texans in 2023, Houston's made the playoffs each season, winning their first 2 wild card games at home, but losing in the divisional round on the road in both instances. In defeating the Chargers, the Pats had a 381 to 207 yardage edge, whereas Houston on the road had an edge of 408 to 175 over Pittsburgh in their win. Houston has a solid plus 17 to plus 3 turnover edge. New England did play the tougher playoff schedule, the tougher opponent in Pittsburgh versus in facing. I don't know where I said
Houston.
that. No, Houston's a solid. New England, that should be. Houston did play the tougher schedule. Because of the Chargers' offensive line issues, the Patriots are not taking much of a drop in class in facing Houston's average offense. Houston's defense is taking a step up in class as the Patriots' offense is much better than Pittsburgh's. Houston has been better at avoiding sacks on offense as well as imposing them on defense, taking nothing away from what New England has accomplished this season. Going from back-to-back 4-13 seasons to 14-3 this season, Houston has gone from back-to-back 10-7 seasons to 12-5 this season. Remember, they started 0-3 and went 12-2 following that. That's very impressive. In 8 games versus common opponents, Houston is 7-1 with an average scoring margin differential of plus 12.0 points per game. Against those 8 common opponents, New England is 5-3 with a scoring margin of just plus 3.1 points per game. So you're talking about a comparison. And of course, there are different circumstances of when these teams played each other, but you're still talking about basically they played the same schedule for half a season, basically.
Right.
It's just the 8 games that they didn't play, Houston faced tougher competition. Both teams are 5-3 in those 8 games, and so I call for Houston to pull the upset.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. Well, if that happens, my basketball teams will stink because I have a lot of Patriots, but hopefully,
I mean, and again, remember, Houston does have the edge in playoff experience.
Yeah, that they do. How much stock do you put into that?
When you've got such a good defense going up against a quarterback who has played well in May, but really has only that one game, which, by the way, next year you're going to hear everything. Well, first-time starting quarterbacks in the playoffs are 23-40. Yeah, that's true. But you know what? Before this season, they were 20-40 because they went 3-0 this year against the spread, winning 2 of them outright, I believe. Right? Was it? The Bears, Caleb Williams and Patriots, and Derek May. Yeah. So, So no, I just give Houston the edge as far as the overall quality of competition that they faced on a regular basis. And I think the other thing is, and let me get these numbers out here because these are interesting for whatever they're worth. And let me see where they are here. I got everything all over the place. Here they are. Okay. I got a desk, but I can't tell you what color it is because I got papers covering the whole thing.
Nice.
Let me see. I got my average margin of straight up wins, losses, ATS wins and losses, and over-unders for the regular season. So it doesn't include, actually it wouldn't include because all of these teams win. Average margin in their wins. Houston's average margin was 11.1. New England's average margin 13.4. Average loss, Houston minus 4.8. New England lost by minus 6.0. The Rams and Seattle are the interesting ones. Seattle's 14-3. Their 14 wins were by an average of 14.3 points per game. Their average loss in the 3 games, 3.0. Rams, 12-5. 12 wins by 15.8. The 5 losses by 3.4.
Right.
San Francisco in their 5 losses by 10.6. Buffalo and Denver pretty much the same, 7.0 and 8.0, the average margin of losses. Buffalo did have about a 5-point edge in the average margin of wins. The Rams about 2-1 over the Bears in the average margin of wins. I said Rams minus 3.4 in their 5 losses. Chicago 6 losses, minus 10.3. So, it just and again, some of that has to be taken within the context of the quality of opposition. The only one that is really significant is the gap between Houston and New England as far as the win-loss records of the opponents based upon this year's results against that schedule. So, I give Houston a decent chance of winning this game. What's their money line in this one?
The money line is
Can't be very
plus 150.
Okay, plus 150. Yeah, I'm waiting to see if that line goes up a little bit more before getting involved in the money line. But I guess the question is, and I think I know the answer that you would give, is of the 4 games, which is the most likely to have the upset? Well, the obvious answer would be in the Denver-Buffalo game, where depending upon when you made the bet, either team winning the game would be an upset.
Yeah. Well, I had to pick them, so.
Well, I had to pick them, but no, Buffalo was a 1.5 point favorite, so a Denver win at that line would be an upset. Denver's a 1.5 point favorite, so a Buffalo win would be an upset.
Exactly.
But I would say of the other games, and again, it's obvious again. Well, the Rams and Bears line, and we'll get to that game in a moment. But clearly, the Seattle-San Francisco game would be the bigger upset because of the point spread. Houston is +3, and Chicago's now +3.5.
+4 in a lot of books.
Okay, so it has gone back to 4. I know it opened 4, went to 3.5, and we did see today some 4 showing up. So, I guess Houston upsetting New England would be about the same magnitude of upset as Chicago beating the Rams. Well, it'd be a bigger upset only because of the fact that it's on the road, but at the same time, the Rams are slightly bigger favorite on the road against Chicago than New England is favored at home over Houston. So I guess by that, you'd have to say Chicago upsetting the Rams at home by a point spread might be the bigger upset than Houston winning on the road.
Yeah.
Chicago winning at home.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Okay. Well, we have our first disagreement, which is, it's always.
Well, the good news is we can't be worse than 50-50.
That's true. That's true. Well, let's get to this last game. Rams at the Bears, and I'll pull up these lines here. So we see some 3.5, some 4, and some 4s as well. But the 3.5s are juiced to -118. So it's really. I would say it's really.
Yeah. Let me see here. The Westgate has 4 -08, but they usually have 08 on all of their NFL games now. Let's see. 3.5 at Circa. 3.5 no vig at -10 at South Point. William Hill it's up at 4 -09. 3.5 at Stations. 3.5 -15 at Boomers. 3.5 -15 at Golden Nugget, and I'm showing DraftKings 3.5 -18.
Yeah. 3.5 -115 at Bet Rivers is the best one I see that I could personally bet. Here.
Oh, so you're saying I'm only looking at part of my screen, so that fits on there. But I could go down a little bit more. But I guess what you're saying is there are more 4s offshore.
Yeah, it's split, but all the 3.5.
I'm actually seeing a minus. Yeah, all the 3.5s are -15 or so. I'm not showing very many. Caesars is 4.
Yeah.
Atlantis is 4. Bovada is 4.
Well, Bovada will take your money, so I will not bet there.
No, but I'm just saying on the screen without commenting anything on.
Yeah.
I'm basically seeing 3.5 with VIGs -15 or -20 or in that range, -18.
Yeah, minus 115. But minus 115 is the best one I could personally bet on here outside of Nevada. So
Yeah, Nevada's Circa, I believe, is -10. South Point -10.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, so I like the Rams. I like the Rams last week, and that it looked great for a while. It's the 14-0, and then 17-7, and then Stafford sprained his finger, and he wasn't the same. And then Puka Nacua dropped a touchdown right before halftime.
Yeah, which cost us the first half cover.
Yep. So that was.
And if they had a chance at the end of the game, they could have gone in for a touchdown to, get to push a 10 for those people out of 10.
Right, and so Stafford was never the same.
Carolina deserved to cover. Yeah, Carolina deserved to cover that game the way the game played out, notwithstanding the early lead by the Rams.
Yeah, and notwithstanding the Stafford injury too. I mean, Stafford is not sharp at all.
But see, the problem for me with the Rams wasn't their offense; it was the defense.
Yeah, the defense still lost some drives,
which has been horrible. I think their defensive decline started with that first loss to Carolina.
Yeah.
They have not been the same defensive team, and the numbers show it over their final 6-7 games.
I don't know why that would change. Like, I don't really know, why they've gotten worse defensively.
I have to assume that other opponents pick something up.
Maybe.
Haven't talked about it.
They did hold Seattle to 14 points through 3 quarters.
The game's 4 quarters. Games 4 quarters. I don't care when. You can't say at this point the game is 60 minutes. Some teams score early, some teams score late. And the fact is, by the way, that you would figure you would give up more points later as your defense gets tired.
Yeah, well, they gave up a touchdown on a punt return, so that was not totally the defense in that game.
Well, Rams have had special teams issues all year, going back to that Philadelphia game.
Yeah, that's definitely true. So
and look, they gave up the block punt against Carolina.
Yeah.
In this game,
they did. Yep. So yeah, you have to kind of avoid that here, but I think you could make a bear case about the Rams and their defense, and I can make a bear case about the Bears because they've gotten so lucky in so many games this year, and now they've gotten better as the years progressed. But I still last week they were down big against the Packers,
21-3.
Yeah, and 21-3 at halftime, 21-6 after 3. They were down similarly against the Packers a few weeks before.
They were down 16-0, and they got the 2 fourth quarter touchdowns and 2-point conversions.
Yeah, they've
and then they touchdown in overtime.
They've been great in the fourth quarter. Now maybe at some point,
what was it? Caleb Williams has led is now 7 drives in the fourth quarter or something to come from behind.
Crazy. It's crazy, yeah. So he maybe he does it again at some point.
Remember all the times? What was he sacked? A whole bunch of times last year.
Yeah, he held the ball on for forever.
And this year, I think he was top 5 in the fewest sacks.
Yeah, he gets.
I think he was only sacked. Yeah, and that's Ben Johnson. I think he was only sacked 24 times this year.
Yeah, it's just it gets the ball quicker. The offensive line's been better. It's no doubt about that. I think if you want to mention the Rams' bad defense, I think the Bears' bad defense, and it's probably even worse. They have, I believe they had the second fewest quarterback pressures in the NFL this year. Actually, it might be the fewest now that I think about it. So they don't get to the quarterback at all. Their run defense is slightly better than the pass defense.
The Rams were actually tied because I only have the 8 teams here. The Bears were actually tied with the number of sacks that they got defensively, 2.06 per game, exactly what New England got.
Okay. Well, as far as quarterback pressures, I think they were far worse. The only guy getting pressure is Montez Sweat, and everyone else is just not getting to the quarterback. And the Rams have a good offensive line. And granted, they're missing Rob Havenstein, the right tackle. That's been an issue, but they might be getting back Kevin Dotson. I think that's been an underrated injury that the Rams have had. It's a really good guard that he's been out. And he practiced on a limited basis today, so there's a chance that he could be back. Which especially against a team that can't get after the quarterback, just having a more solidified offensive line definitely can help. So I think the Rams are the better team here. Now you could talk about the weather and stuff like that, but the Rams almost won in Philly in a blizzard last year, so I'm not concerned about that. So I like the Rams in this game. What do you think about this one?
Well, let me read this one. About 6 weeks ago, this line might have been closer to a touchdown, but the Rams season started to go south with their regular season loss at Carolina, especially due to the sharp decline in their defense. In the 7 games they played since then, including last week's rematch with the Panthers, the Rams have allowed an average of 28.3 points and 354 yards per game. That compares to 16.3 points per game and 311 yards per game in their first 11 games. Those are significant drop-offs. Chicago went from allowing 26.5 points in their first 11 games to just 21.4 in their last 7, while the defense slipped by just 363 to 368. So their defense basically in the first 11 versus the last 7 is basically the same. 2 best units on the field are the 2 offenses. The 2 weakest are the defenses. Bears quarterback Williams has shown considerable progress in Coach Johnson's first season as coach. Well, that's redundant. I didn't need to coach twice. Oh well, deal with it. And has become a team leader. Rams quarterback Stafford had an MVP type season, and the passing game was consistent over the entirety of the season. Rams still rate the defensive edge over the Bears, but the gap has narrowed since midseason. Expected cold temperatures and wind conditions could result in more reliance of both teams on their running games. The Rams rate the differential edge in both phases. The preference here is for the Rams to get the win and cover, but the selection is made with some trepidation given the Rams' defensive issues over the past month or so. Yet even in the late season statistical comparison favors the Rams, albeit the Bears did play the tougher late season schedule. Both teams were strong in turnover margin, especially Chicago. Bears were plus 22 in turnover margin. I think they had 33 takeaways to contribute to that plus 22. Rams were plus 11. I've got the Rams winning by 10 and the game going over.
Okay, so it doesn't sound like you would make this contest play, given the trepidation word.
Probably not, depending upon the other games that that would be on the schedule. Yeah. I would think. I would, if I were to rate the strength of the confidence here, I would, and I don't know which order I would have Houston over New England and San Francisco over Seattle, but those would be the top 2. This one might be third, the Rams, and the fourth, the weakest would be well, you know what? I'd probably put Buffalo ahead of Denver if Allen is playing, which we expect that it would be. My concern for the Rams was again last week's effort against Carolina. They should have won that game by 14 to 17 points. And again, it seemed every time that the Rams scored, Carolina would come back and score.
Yeah, that's true, and the defense has been worse. But as the boss is pointing out, Quentin Lake was injured and is back for a second week. He was out. He was a big loss. I mean, they just gave him a big contract, so they obviously value him greatly. He was. He had his first game against Carolina.
The point is that the Rams, especially defensively against the Carolina offense, have a much better roster. Mm-hmm. So you got backups who are probably as good as some of the Carolina starters on offense relative to their positions. So they were especially because you had to believe that the Rams were taking the Panthers seriously, whereas they may not have taken them seriously in the regular season game.
Right. Exactly.
So it was a horrible effort by the Rams when a better effort was expected. And the problem is I give credit to Carolina. I like this team going into next year. I like what Canales has done in his second year with the Panthers, but a lot of it has to do with a lot of the deficiencies on the Rams that they started to show late in the season. They should have been able to handle. You could say, in other words, I'll put it this way: you could say Carolina's win over the Rams in the regular season was a fluke. Their competitiveness against the Rams in this game, even falling behind 14-0, and it should have been worse, was no fluke. They showed they could play with the Rams. And that's concerning about the Rams because you're still talking about a team that was 8-9 in Carolina.
Yeah, I just wonder how many points the Rams would have scored if Stafford didn't have the sprained finger.
Well, look, Carolina was playing with injuries too.
Not with the
and Stafford's the better quarterback to begin with.
Yeah, I think if Stafford didn't his finger hurt.
Oh, look, now you want to talk about an excuse or an explanation. Nakua dropping that touchdown pass at the end of the first half.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
Okay? But it happens. These guys are not robots. They're not on an assembly line, and they don't repeat performance after performance after performance. And they're humans. They're going to make errors sometimes at bad times. I thought Carolina did play very well according this thing that we have up here on the screen now.
It was just it felt 2 weeks ago they got blown out by Seattle at home. Like I don't think they belong. Well, I'm sorry, Roto Legend.
No, they probably didn't belong there. But who did belong in that division? Maybe the Saints because they played the best over the second half of the season.
Yeah, maybe the Saints or the Falcons were hot down the stretch too.
Yeah, when that hot play got their coach fired, which maybe tells you something about ownership management.
Well, yeah.
You see, if I were Arthur Blank, okay. The problem has been they've gotten decent talent, but the general manager has not done a very good job overall.
Yeah, they can.
So what I would do if I were Arthur Blank, I'd fire the general manager, bring back Raheem Morris this year, make a decision after next year where maybe the general manager provides him with a better roster next year, and this team instead of going 8-9 goes 11-6. Okay, or maybe they go 6-11, and the new general manager says, "Okay, we gave you a chance. We want to put our own guy in there now."
See, I like the Atlanta's roster actually. I mean, they had 2 running backs. They have Drake London, Kyle Pitts. Made a lot of plays this year. Their offensive line's really good. They were down.
It took a while for them to gel,
and I think that was on the.
And they did have some nice wins this season against Buffalo, for example.
Yeah, and then they came back the following week with a dud almost every time,
Yeah.
So their defense played well this year. I think they were rated highly. What was the defense this year?
Well, I know in mid-season they were highly ranked as far as certainly their pass defense was ranked very highly.
Yeah, they couldn't stop the run, sure, but their pass defense was good. They had good pressure on the quarterback. They hit with James Pierce. I thought they had a good roster. In my power rankings, I even said they have a Group B. They have a Group B roster. But
the Rams had no excuse for the close win in that game.
I was shocked they even played,
especially when
I was shocked they played their starters in that game.
What do you mean?
The Rams.
Which game?
In the Atlanta game.
No, I'm talking about the Carolina. They had no excuse for not winning by a more comfortable margin.
Right. Well,
and that just tells me those defensive concerns that have been an issue for the last 7 games are a concern in game number 8.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, they won by 3, but they outgained Carolina by almost 100 yards.
Well, then why didn't they score more points?
Because Stafford sprained his finger.
Hey, they outgained them by 100 yards with the sprained finger.
Yeah, well, also Nakua dropped the touchdown too.
That's part of it, But the point is that in this game against the Bears, I could see the Bears pulling the upset. I like the Rams. I think they're a better team.
I think any team could win this week. There's no Carolina or Pittsburgh left. Like every team has a chance. Every team has a chance this week.
Yeah, I think. Well, the Chargers, given their offensive line, were one of the weaker teams in the playoffs, and of course they were seeded. What numbers? They were number 7. Okay, Pittsburgh was a weak team that happened to get in the playoffs by winning the division. They were 10-7, but they outscored the opposition by just 10 points this year.
Yeah, and that's why I said I thought Baltimore would have a much better chance against Houston.
So Pittsburgh and of course Carolina was a weak team, although they did have some good wins this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did they beat Green Bay?
Yeah, they beat Green Bay. They beat LA Rams.
They Green Bay was at Green Bay, wasn't it?
I believe so, yeah.
Or was that at home?
No, I think it was at Green Bay.
Okay, yeah, which makes a better win. And who was the fourth team to lose last week? Was Jacksonville, and that's because two good teams went against each other.
Yeah, those you could argue the two best teams in the conference potentially in that game.
Well,
played out
I'd
that way.
still put Houston in there.
Yeah, I rated Jacksonville a little bit better than Houston.
I rated Houston a little bit better than Jacksonville.
Okay. I thought someone said something funny. They're like, Jacksonville won the division and they got penalized by playing Buffalo. Houston lost the division. They got a free ride to the second round of the playoffs. It's so funny how that works.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can understand why they do it, but I think that the teams with the 4 best records should get the home field regardless of division. Make late season games mean something.
Yeah. So in this scenario, Houston would have been the 4 seed. They would have gotten a home
and
game.
Keep in mind, for example, in the NFC West, you had 3 teams with double-digit wins, and what makes that impressive is because they're beating up on each other.
Right.
Normally you don't have more than 2 teams in a division having double-digit wins. So in other words, a team finished like Carolina finished 8-9, and the 49ers finished 12-5. They had 4 games better, including 2 against a 14-win Seattle and a 12-win Rams team. So they played the better schedule with a tougher schedule. They won 4 more games than a team that had no team in its division, with Carolina. No team well, it couldn't be at 500 unless you had a tie, but had no team that finished better than 500 or above 500. 500 or better.
Right. So why
shouldn't San Francisco get a home game?
So how would you
or the Rams? Well, no, yeah, the Rams and 49 are both 12-5, and I think the Rams had the tiebreaker against San Francisco.
Yeah.
So they theoretically, in other words, you had Seattle was 14-3, and the next 2 best teams in the NFC. What was Philadelphia? Philadelphia was 11-6, I believe.
11-6, yeah.
Rams 12-5, San Francisco 12-5, and then you had Philadelphia and Chicago, each at 11-6.
So
those
you
were
would
the 5 best. So yeah. I would have given Seattle a home game, San Francisco a home game, the Rams a home game, and the Bears a home game because they beat Philadelphia.
So you would seed it as 1 Seattle, 2 LA Rams, 3 San Francisco, 4 Chicago, 5 Philly. So it'd be Chicago, Philly, Chicago.
Yeah.
6. Who was 6?
I would not reward a team with a home game simply because it won its division. Because the who's the second best team in the NFC East was Dallas. Washington was bad. The Giants were putrid. So so Philadelphia should have gotten the record that it got, a double-digit win and win the division. But how do you explain Carolina deserving a home game at 8-9, playing 6 games against teams? And this just doesn't count the other 11 games they played, but it's the 6 games against division rivals that couldn't even finish at 500.
Yeah, I would definitely change that. I agree with you.
I would almost keep the rivalries if you want, but I would almost go back to just have in the old days. When I was growing up in the 1960s, before they added Atlanta and New Orleans, they had just they had East and West. They did have East and West.
Yeah,
but they just had East and West, and then those 2 winners met for the NFL championship. But I'll go Major League Baseball is better. For most of the 20th century, you had the American League and the National League with no divisions. 8 teams in each until 1960 and 1962, or maybe it was 61. 61, the American League expanded to 10 teams. National League expanded to 10 teams in 62 when they brought in the Mets, and at that time the Houston Colt 45s. I think with inflation, it's probably now the Houston Colt 97s, but
it's way more than that.
It's now the Astros, yeah.
It's way more than that.
It's more than double. But in any event, they went from 8 teams to 10 teams, 10 teams to 12 teams in 1969, when San Diego, I forget who else was added, and in the American League it was Milwaukee and Seattle were added. I think it was San Diego and I don't remember. It'll come to me at some point. But nonetheless, they were split into 2 divisions. But for the first 8-9 years of the 1960s, You had the American League, you had the National League, and the two winners of each league played for the World Series. You didn't have playoffs until divisions came along in 1969. We had National League East and West, American League East and West. East and West in each league met for the league championship, the pennant, and then those two teams played in the World Series. Baltimore beat Minnesota in the American League, and the Mets beat Atlanta in the National League, and of course, the Mets beat Baltimore in the World Series. So I would like to see the NFL, keep the same, and actually you could probably do it. Keep everything with one big 16-team conference.
Okay.
You play each team in the conference, and then maybe you get on a rotating basis. You'd have 15 games, and then maybe you would have the other 2 games, or ultimately 3 games, against either one team, either 3 conference rivals twice, or you could keep the interconference aspect and play 3 AFC teams, and then you just pick the 7 teams with the best records, and you see them 1 through 7 regardless, because there are no divisions anymore. Now,
see, I like the divisions. I like the rivalries, but I do agree with you that I would.
Well, you could end up having it where, okay, maybe you don't play every team in the conference, but let's say you play, 8 conference teams, let's keep the same thing. You play 12 teams within the conference and 5 teams in the other conference.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe you could do away with the 5th interconference game, and you just play 13 games within your conference. So there are 2 teams that you don't play, or actually maybe there'll be 6 teams you don't play, because you'll have, let's say 6. Let's say you play 6 opponents twice. 3 of them are traditional rivalries, and 3 of them are rotating games each season.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that way you could still have some, rivalries in place, like Packers and Bears, Packers and Lions, whatever. And you base the records solely upon, there's no division, so you rank them 1 through 16. Yeah. That way, you would give the teams with the better record, right now, the teams with the better record, like the 49ers and the Rams and the Bears, because we'll throw the Eagles out because they tied with the Bears. You're giving 3 teams with better records than the Tampa Bay, Carolina, the AFC South. You are penalizing them for playing in a tougher division. I saw one comment come up there that says divisions will flow. Yeah, they do flow all the time. So it'd be a different division next year and a different division, the other year. It might be the same division for 2 or 3 years. The point is, you are penalizing teams that play in a stronger division because they had a great record, and they did so despite having to play multiple games against teams that had equally great records, while at the same time rewarding teams that won a division simply because they stunk less than everybody else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know the owners talked about it, and they decided that they wanted to keep the divisions and reward them for having the best season for winning a division.
Yeah, and
I can understand that, but I don't necessarily agree with it.
I think you can reward a division winner by giving them a playoff game. Like Carolina, keep them in the playoffs, but put them at the 7th seed and not the 4.
You could do that.
Yeah, so that's how I would handle it.
I would reward the teams with the 4 best records. Get involved by giving them that home game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Give their fans a little something extra to reward their team and see their fans, because their team had one of the best records in the league. Let those fans, let the fans of San Francisco, the Rams, and the Bears, get to see their team play once more in a meaningful game where the season is absolutely on the line, as opposed to fans of say Pittsburgh had a 10-7 record. It wasn't terrible, but like a Carolina getting rewarded by seeing their fans play despite the fact that they didn't have a good record. What's this comment say? They aren't strong. Yeah, they are stronger. Because they have because keep in mind, when you have let's take a look. You have Arizona. What was Arizona? 3 and 14, I think.
14. Yeah.
So San Francisco.
Let's see. 2-0.
Yeah. 15, 27, 41. 26, 29, 41 wins, and let's see, 41 wins, and what's that? 8, 21, 26 losses. So what did I say? 48 and 26.
Yeah.
So that means they were 22 games above 500 against the rest of the league.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think any other division came close to that.
Yeah, and conversely, the NFC South was their point differential was horrible.
Well, they all had negatives. But I mean, just take it. Yeah. In fact, let me just see here. Yeah. +7.
And I would say it says didn't have awful teams. The Saints were awful with Rattler. They were horrible. Now they got a lot better with Shock. Yeah.
+25. No, I think it was plus 15 games. I did my math wrong. I think it was still 15 games over 500 when you take Arizona being -11.
Mm.
So yeah, they had a winning. So they had a winning record against the rest of the conference, not league, conference, despite the fact that the top 3 records in the conference all resided in the NFC West.
Yeah, right.
And yeah, they were. It will vary from year to year, but you should. So I just don't think that. I don't know that you call it. I don't think it's really a punishment as much as it's not rewarding them.
Yeah.
You are rewarding less deserving teams.
Yeah. Guess who's making an appearance here? It's my dog.
Oh, I thought it was Conrad.
Oh no, he's sleeping. He didn't nap today, so he was tired.
Oh.
Yeah, my dog is she maybe agrees with you about that.
What's her name again?
Raven. So
Raven, that's right. Yeah.
She was upset her team.
You're not going to change it to Giant now?
No, it's little too late for that. She's asking to go out, so I better take her out before she has an accident here. So,
all right. So we are both on the Rams. I am a little bit more reluctantly than you are, and I think my play on the Rams largely is because of the fact that Chicago still is overall a weaker defensive team, and the fact that the line seems a little short.
Yes, I agree. And if the Bears didn't get so lucky in some of their games, this line would be higher, toward what not quite what we saw in the Carolina game.
I mentioned that in the 12 wins, the Rams averaged 15.8 margin of victory, Chicago 8.0, and in the losses, Chicago average loss in their 6 losses 10.3. The Rams in their 5 losses was 3.4. So in other words, the Rams won their games by a healthier margin. Of course, quality of competition comes into play. And the Bears lost their games by a bigger margin. So that should suggest that the Rams are the better team and are capable about better of getting the bigger margin in this game. What I think I said 34-24, but that does not consider horrible conditions. It does include. It does include the cold temperatures.
Yeah, right. So I'm not too concerned about the cold, as we said before. But yeah, we'll monitor the weather and see if anything crazy comes. So
I just want to respond to that last comment about why we are worried that it's been this way since 2002. Yeah, that doesn't mean it can't be changed.
Yeah,
look, they changed it when they added the 17th game. They changed things when they added the extra wild card team and took away a bye. So they could change things. Now, see, my database actually goes back to like the late 1980s as far as game data. But my starting point for analysis now has gone back to 2002 because that was the last major structural change when they went from 6 divisions of 5 and 1 division with 6 teams, when they added, I think, Houston with an expansion team, to 8 4-team divisions, and they worked out the schedule the way they do now, where you play your own division twice, you play all 4 teams in another division, you play all 4 teams in one of the other conferences division, and then you play, of course, you play 3 teams in your division twice for 6 games, all 4 teams in another division, that makes it 10, all 4 teams in an opposing conference division, that makes it 14, and prior to the 17-game schedule, you played the team that finished in your position, like the division winner of the NFC East played the division winner in the NFC North and the NFC South in the year that they played all 4 teams in the NFC West. So that was a major structural change. I don't consider the wild card addition as a significant change, nor the introduction of the 17th game as a structural change. That's just a scheduling change. Okay,
Yes.
it does not really. Well, in a way, it does to a certain extent, but in a certain extent that I'm about to mention, it really doesn't. With the addition of the 17th game, you now have one conference playing 8 home games and the other conference playing 9 home games, and it switches from year to year. Okay, so the only time that really comes into matter it is the Super Bowl, when you play, you may have played 8 games at home versus 9 games at home because of the other conference, but it really doesn't come into play as far as deciding who makes the playoff, because that extra game is now a non-conference game. So it only comes into tiebreakers, I think, at the highest level, unless it's a common opponent that both teams in the conference played, let's say, the same AFC South.
Yeah. And I said this before, I go back to 2010 because that's when teams started practicing less, because the new collective,
which I don't consider as significant a change as you do, because there are always going to be good teams and bad teams, and the good teams the good teams adjust to everything.
I just feel like, well, yeah, that is true, but I feel like the bad teams got worse. They just haven't had the practice time, the prep time to really prepare for the better opponents.
Well, we don't know that, because how about maybe some of the bad teams were bad teams because they suffered more injuries? I mean, there are any number of factors, and by the way, or they hire, they're less prepared for that limited practice time than the teams that are better organized. Strength of organization. Why do we see certain teams at the bottom of the league from 2001 to 2010 that we see in 2011 to 2020?
Well, yeah, but my thing is, I feel like they have less of a chance to be competitive in some of the games now than they were before, because they don't practice as much, and they don't
practice. Well, neither do the good teams.
Yeah, but the good teams already have the good players. The good teams don't need as much prep time as the bad teams. That's why.
Every team needs the same prep time.
I don't think. No, we already agreed that wasn't the case, because the Monday night games, the post Monday night games, the bad teams tend to do a lot worse than the good teams.
Well, that doesn't mean preparation time for entering the season.
No. I don't mean. I mean during the season, like these, they barely practice.
No, we're talking about going from 2010. You're starting in 2010, being a significant change. Well, did you go back and check to see how Monday night teams did before 2010 with the extra time or the less time? That would buttress your argument a little bit more if the bad teams did better before practice was limited than they do today.
Yeah, but we know that the bad teams have done worse since 2010. Like there's the data.
Well, that's what I'm saying. How do we know that? Unlike the Monday night games,
because the favorites have done better since 2010.
You're talking straight up?
Big favorites covering the spread. Yeah.
Well, that's big favorites.
Because you have teams that are much better than their opponents.
Well, yeah, they'd be much better even with more practice time or less practice time, however you want to look at it. Again, you have to factor in the quality of organizations when it comes to practice time. Well, what was it? Which is the team that you said has like only 3 coaches or something? Cincinnati or whatever.
Scouts, not coaches.
Scouts, right? Scouts. Yeah,
they have 4 scouts.
Doesn't matter how much practice time you have. If you have only 3 scouts, you're not going to get the number of quality players that teams with 12 scouts have. By definition, you can't.
Right.
You do your scouting by looking at the Madden ratings, like the New York Jets do, like Woody Stevens does. You're not going to be able to get the quality players that other teams do, who actually go out and look at these plays and can evaluate football players. And practice time comes into that. The practice routines of some of these teams are much better than other teams. They have the same number of assistant coaches or whatever. Some are just better than others.
Here's some data for you. Okay. So, and this had to be the last thing my dog needs.
Yeah, I know the dog is like he's shaking.
So, double-digit favorite.
I hope he's shaking and not dropping.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, double-digit favorites before Sorry. Before. So okay, double-digit favorites before 2010. So
Okay.
this is 1989 to 2009.
So 21 years. 21
Yeah,
seasons. Okay.
yeah. So double-digit favorites: 253, 280, and 8 against the spread. That's 47.5.
Now is it what's the conditions? Monday night games or all games?
Anything. Double-digit favorites. Just
Okay.
Just
Oh,
that.
okay, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, remember 253, 280, and 8. That's 47.5%.
Okay.
Double-digit favorites since 2010, so 15 years now. 209, 159, and 7. That's 56.8%.
Okay.
It's a big difference.
It is, but I don't know that it's necessarily related to those factors.
Well, something changed, you know.
Well, the alignment changed of the schedule. The divisions were realigned, and
We're talking 2010.
and also lines making has gotten a lot sharper over the last 8 to 10 years, with more betting establishments coming into legalized betting in the U.S. More offshore places only started like in the mid 1990s. So lines have gotten a lot sharper. Teams have become better at roster management than they were back then. And again, the better teams manage their rosters better because they have more resources.
Yeah.
Generally, not always. I mean, Cincinnati never spends money. Well, that's why Cincinnati, unfortunately for them, a lot of the troubles they had the last couple of years with missing the playoffs had to do with injuries, especially to Burrow. But it seems as though that winning organizations continue to win, but even losing organizations will have occasional winning years. As far as that goes, Dallas has not been in an NFC Championship game in 30 years. They used to, and I think in the 1980s they were there probably in about 7 or 8 of those years.
Yeah, their fans definitely know that. So
yeah,
it's very wild. Anyway, yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the lesser preparation time has much to do with it, because it's still a matter of the talent that you have, and some teams are better at evaluating, drafting, signing, and holding on to talent than others.
Yeah, I just think that there was a major change in 2010, and I saw it in the handicapping year to year, where before you would routinely see double-digit underdogs win outright. Kind of want to see what the
I don't know. Take a look at the people who get eliminated every year in the first 4 weeks of Survivor.
Well, it used to be harder, I guess. It's straight up. So straight up, these double-digit favorites before 2010. They were 456 and 85 straight up. That's 84.3%. Since 2010, they're 335 and 39. That's 89.
But again, I don't necessarily think it's related to practice time. I think it's just related to better front office decisions, better assembling of talents, filling of holes. Not having inept owners as general managers.
I have to believe that the diminished practice time is certainly affecting, because I remember, I forget who's talking about it, like the backup quarterbacks used to get reps all the time in practice, and then ever since they changed the rules, they never get reps now. And when a backup quarterback enters the game, sometimes they just look completely inept, like Shedeur Sanders when he ended up.
That's the allocation of practice time that the coaches decide on. The smart coaches give the backups practice because they know they could be needed at any time. The dumb coaches say, "Oh, we'll never need him. This guy never gets injured." So those are personal.
Part of it. I think
it's part of it. But if you have, let's say, 6 hours of practice compared to 10 hours of practice during a day, coaches are better. Some coaches are better at allocating the 6 hours of practice to meet their needs than other coaches. Just like they were better at allocating 10 hours of practice than the other coaches were.
Yeah, but
every coach, every general manager, every owner has to follow the same guidelines.
Yeah, I think you're making my argument for me. Is because no, I think you are, because this diminished practice time has made the smarter coaches, has given them an advantage.
But no, it doesn't. No, what gives them advantage? They're smarter coaches. That's what gives them the advantage. They know how to adjust.
Right,
they know how to better use their time.
Exactly, but the worst coaches have less time. If they had more time,
because they're not good coaches, because they're not qualified.
Right. Yes, because they have less practice time, they can't gain an advantage.
No,
That
well, you shouldn't gain it. Everybody operates under the same rules.
right.
Now,
Which is why the better teams are
okay,
better.
now, if you wanted a solution to what you said, okay, if you finish with 6 wins or less, you get 10 hours of practice time. If you finish with 7 to 10 wins, you get 6 hours of practice time, whatever it is. If you finish with 13, because you don't need it as much.
Well, that you might actually see tanking at that point.
Well, I don't think so.
Well, I don't. If they're guaranteed a job next year, then you would certainly see tanking.
Yeah, but I think the fans would be in an uproar saying, we're not looking to get 10 hours of practice time. We're looking to get Super Bowl wins.
Well, I mean, if you're 6-10, and if you want to lose the game at that point, you're not getting a Super Bowl win. So
no, but I'm saying that just by doing that, I mean, it's making that the wins count for something. But what I'm saying is that yes, practice time probably has something to do, but I don't think that explains, why. I think this whole thing started with week 1. Why week 1 wouldn't count, because some teams are better equipped to start the season. Well, they're better teams to begin with. They've got better rosters. But the point is that every organization is faced with the same challenges that were presented after 2010, as they were before, and it's just a question of which teams, organizations, coaching staffs, players, whatever, were better able to use the preparation time in a better way than other teams were. Just like rules changes. Some teams are better at adapting to rule changes. The pass interference rule changes. Some teams are better equipped because they rely more on a passing game, so they're better able to make adjustments.
Yeah, so the worst organizations haven't been able to adapt as well to these to the less.
Well, why are they the worst organizations? What makes them the worst?
Less talented players, fewer talented players, worse coaches.
Well, why do they have the worst coaches? Why don't they have good players? Well, Cincinnati has 3 scouts. That's good. That's a pretty good explanation. They managed. I mean, you had to be blind not to be able to scout Joe Burrow.
Right.
They did pretty well there. Jamar Chase, they were able to do scouting there.
Sure.
But overall, on an overall basis,
they can't hit any mid or late round picks. That's been the problem. Yeah. But no.
And that's where the number of assistants. I don't think you're limited on the number of assistants you can have. I think you can have as many as you want, I believe.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the teams that have the resources to spend, and by the way, all these teams, even the worst teams in the league, get hundreds of millions of dollars of TV and other commercial merchandising revenues a year. So they can't say they don't have enough resources. They have a salary cap, and they really should have a salary floor, so that the cheap teams spend money at least in an attempt. But I think it's just the resources as opposed to the limitations of practice time. Maybe it does have some effect, but I think those negative effects for the weaker teams are because they're weaker organizations.
You're right, and the weaker organizations haven't adapted to this.
It's like the cheap the good organizations fly charter, the weak organizations fly commercial.
Right.
I mean, it's just something as simple as that. The wealthier teams or whatever, the better organizations, have a nice pregame meal for the players. Cincinnati Bengals serve sandwiches. I mean, it's that kind of thing. I don't know.
The Eagles under Chip Kelly did get rid of Taco Tuesdays, so there is something to that.
Well, that was for the fans, right?
No. That was for the players.
Oh, okay. I thought they did it like at the NBA. If you score like 140 points, everybody gets a free taco.
Oh, no. Because I know one of my friends used to be an accountant for the Eagles, and he said there was an uproar when Chip Kelly got rid of Taco Tuesdays. So
well, the Eagles had the right selection then. We got to choose between tacos and Kelly. We'll choose the tacos. We're bringing back the tacos. We're not bringing back Chip Kelly.
Yeah, you don't mess with tacos. I feel strongly about that.
No, you don't mess on taking things away from the players who've gotten accustomed to that.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
That's really going to make the players want to play hard for. I mean, it's a simple little thing. That's really going to make the players play hard for Chip Kelly as a coach when he takes something away that they look forward to every week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we've seen how he does in the NFL. So Roto Legend. So summation: Andy likes Rams, Bills, Texans, and Seahawks. Yes. No. 49ers. Rams, Bills, Texans, 49ers is what.
Yeah, I like the Rams, the Bills, the Texans, and the 49ers. You
Yeah.
like the Rams, the Seahawks, the Broncos, and the Patriots.
No, I'm on the Niners as well.
Oh, you're on the Niners? Okay. Well, that's right. We agree. We both agree on the Rams and the Seahawks. You're on the
Rams
Patriots.
Niners.
Yeah. So Seahawks should be off of there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, we both agree on the Rams and the 49ers. You have the Patriots and the Broncos. I have the Bills and the Texans.
No, I have the Bills.
I'm sorry. You have the Bills and the Patriots.
Yeah, we only disagree in Houston and New England. So
yeah.
All right. Well,
and
one of us.
I'm probably. Well, I don't know how strong you are on New England. Are you strong? Because I'm strong on the Texans.
Medium. Yeah. You feel stronger about the game than I do. So
yeah.
That's my number. That's my number 3 game.
You might feel a little stronger on the. Well, on what's the other one we disagree on, the Broncos and Bills?
No, we agree on the Bills. We agree on everything except Texans Patriots.
Oh, so we agree on 3 out of. That's right. We did agree on 3 out of, because it was 2 and 2, and then we disagreed on Patriots and Texans, and we agreed on the Rams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. So we'll see. Hopefully, one of us is 4-0, one of the others 3-1. That would be great. Yeah, that'd be great for week 20. So that is if it's today's show. My dog has to go to the bathroom, so we have to get going here. Please hit like, subscribe, comment below, share this video, visit walterfootball.com.
How the hell did we get 3 hours out of this tonight?
I don't know.
And we didn't even really talk the college game.
That's true. We did touch on it a little bit, but we're talking about divisions. We're talking about practice time. We're talking
about my camera going out.
Exactly. So visit thelogicalapproach.com. Andy has a lot of info on there, so make sure you check that out. And we'll be back tomorrow. Evan will be on, so we'll see if Evan agrees. Maybe we'll get a 4-4 agreement, or maybe he'll agree with you on all 4. We'll see about that, and we'll see how he feels about his Niners going into Seattle.
I'm going to guess that Evan will be on Seattle.
I think so too. I think I will. I predict Evan will be on Buffalo, Seattle. Yep. I'm not sure about Houston, New England. I'm really not sure. And then I think he'll be on. He hates the Bears, so he'll be on the Rams. I don't know where he'll fall on Texans, Patriots. I really don't know. So
I would think on the Rams and Bears. He might be on the Bears if it's +4.
He's trashed the Bears all year. He's called them overrated all year. So that's why I think he would like the Rams. I know he hates the Rams short yardage, which has been a problem.
Yeah.
But
we were texting about that during the game. Every time it came up.
That's their only flaw, then so be it. But
that's not their only flaw. Maybe
offensively. I mean,
their only flaw on offense. Yeah. The problem is the defense has to play half the game.
Right. Yeah. So we'll see if they have a better effort this week. So
I like the makeup of this Bears offense.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see about this week's games. So tune in tomorrow. So around 10:30, 11.
I'll be listening.
Same start time. Okay. Awesome. Sounds good. Yeah, guys. Thanks for watching and commenting. Really appreciate it. And I will talk to you tomorrow.